Yeah, we got to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Do everything.
Okay, here we go.
We're going.
You see it?
No, they really don't.
Yeah, they do.
Not on two screens. No. No.
No, they're
Hey, Sam, turn around, because when I punch him, I want plausible deniability on camera.
I would never press charges.
I'm teasing
I
Amy.
would never press charges.
telling you how to get away with it.
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. The time is now 6:37. I'm calling a special meeting of the Fraser City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baranski.
I don't know.
Mayor Lesich.
Present.
Councilmember Odell.
Here?
Councilmember Perry.
Here.
Councilwoman Shornack.
Present.
Councilmember Stein.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
Present.
That is a quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda is submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, seconded by Councilmember Shornack, to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item number 6A, excuse me.
Missed 5.
Wait,
Oh, 5. All right, 5 is citizen participation on agenda items. I see no citizens in the audience. We move on to item number 6. Closed session, 6A, strategy discussion with legal counsel regarding negotiations related to a collective bargaining act agreement. So I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session under the Michigan Open Meetings Act for a strategy discussion with legal counsel regarding negotiations related to a collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mayor Lesich, second by Councilmember Odell to go into closed session. Do we do a roll call on that?
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Baranski.
Yes.
Lesich.
Yes.
Odell.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Shornack.
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Sutherland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now go into closed session. It's 6:39 PM.
Because the.
Ready when you are.
No skin in the game?
All right, it is now 7:20 PM, and we have returned from the closed session. We'll now move on to item 7A,
Test.
and let me find the term for that.
We're returning at 7:20.
7:20, yes. 7A, Resolution 2025-001, Fiscal Year 25-26 Budget and Millage General Appropriations Act. City Manager.
We are here tonight to continue our discussions about the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. You have before you the millage for the approval of the budget and millage, the resolution for the Budget and Millage General Appropriations Act for consideration. Obviously, we've had some conversation about the budget. I am prepared to go through and make any changes that you are considering this evening. I will be able to kind of give you some live time updates for what bottom line changes are going to result from anything that you are interested in seeing changed. So I think we can start with that and hopefully move forward and be able to at least get a clearer idea of where we're going with the budget. I did provide a memo that outlined the changes that were made from the recommended budget to the Council Draft 1.
Councilmember Baranski.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you had asked, and I didn't see it. Did we get the updated numbers in terms of with all I know you gave it to us, but can you give us a verbal of where we are at the end of this fiscal year in terms of account balance, right?
Sure. So in my memo, I put together a table that outlined what our projected end fund balance is for 24-25, which is 9.3 million. And then with the Council Draft 1 for the general fund, looking at spending 2.2 million of that fund balance to go down to a little bit more than 7 million of the ending fund balance. Of that, we are required to maintain a 25% fund balance, which is about 5 million, and that would leave us with a surplus of about 2 million. Keeping in mind, we do still have some budget amendments that we'll be doing at the next meeting. Potential for things like the additional payment for the local community stabilization fund. We do have just some reapportioning of some of the DPW funds that it doesn't change the bottom line, it just balances them out with the allocation tables that we have. We also do have some of the invoices for the industrial roads for this fiscal year. We would be balancing between next fiscal year and this fiscal year for the budget amendments for that.
For which one's the Garfield or
No, for the SAD.
SAD? Okay.
Right.
Can we go through, tell us what you have here?
Sure.
And then, because I'm looking on this and I'm not following it quite clearly, so.
So the way that I have this set up right now is that I have all the revenues and then all the expenses. I've put just notes on the side from what I took out of the memo of the more significant items that were changed. The Council Draft 2 can be a working column, so if we make changes, I can actually make changes to it in the Excel spreadsheet, and we can take a look at how that impacts the bottom line. I do also have a version where it is split up by the funds as well, if we want to dial it down to that specific level.
Okay, so can we go back up to, yeah.
Yep.
So column J, Council Draft 2, that's what we're working, that's tonight's.
Correct.
discussion. Okay, I'm looking and it's not
Yep.
on there, okay.
What has been provided in the packets is the Council Draft 1 version. And if you'll take a look right now for the revenue, you'll see that the two columns are the same currently, I and J. And then also for the expenses, down to about 650 here. You'll see the columns are both the same there as well. In K, as I said, I have noted what the more significant items are. Those are straight out of the memo.
Okay. You want to go through the departments and just, because you have on the one that I printed out, there's the net change amount, which I think was interesting. Told us where things were going up and where things were going down. It looks, let's go, can we look at public safety? And, because that's the biggest.
That is not split up because it's the funds, not the departments.
Oh, the general fund, public safety. Department 441.
Just write a couple of these columns to get them up.
Excuse me, Department 301. 301. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the next heading. Okay. So this 301 went up by $757,000. Can you kind of go, and you said you were maxing things out. Can you be a little more specific on where
Sure.
that number came from?
They call Space Need, I'll be over here.
So, for example, 101, 301, 704, 000. This is for the full-time wages. The original recommended budget was 2.445. The council draft was 2.4. So that was a reduction of 45,000.
45,000.
And then one of the things that we did was break out the payouts. So in 101, 301, 709, 000, the original recommended budget, we did not have anything because this is a new line item. So this is an add of 475,000 for those payouts.
That was in the wage number before, with the budget adjustment that we just did, correct? So we're kind of breaking that out.
Right. So that's something we are taking to the max. So any type of potential payout that we would have, we're looking at things like all the time that's in the banks. If, say, everybody were to leave tomorrow, this is our liability of what we would have to pay. So we want to make sure that we are all-encompassing, not missing anything, so that we know, worst-case scenario, in our budget, what we would potentially have to pay. Is it going to happen? Not very likely, but we do not want to be caught off guard for a significant number like this that is an unknown factor.
Now, is this comp time for both what's already owed plus what we anticipate for
Yes.
next year?
Yes.
Do we know what the rough breakdown?
I don't have that number, no.
Okay.
No, I know that Angeli had been working on putting all the math together and making sure that we had everything that was on the books and everything that would be earned next year if they were to cash out next June. Which obviously we're going to have a cash out this June, so we've certainly anticipated and backed out some of that.
Okay, so what is the carryover from this year? Let's say I have 120 comp hours. How many can I carry over to next year?
Do you know that
Is it,
information?
Either convert it to vacation.
right, and that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Those are your choices.
Do I have an option to roll over any of those hours? Because that would go to that 475,000.
Right. So, yeah, I just kind of want to get an idea what we're looking at for this coming year and what's attributed to what's already been accumulated.
Understood. Yes.
Most they can roll over is 50 hours. So they can
50 hours.
accumulate however many hours they accumulate through training and overtime. And they do get their choice between taking overtime pay or banking it in comp. But when it comes to the end of the year in June, the special pays, that's where they have to cash out anything over 50 hours of comp time.
Okay, so if I had 120, by June, I'd have to either take the time
Either use it,
by the end
earn
of the
it,
fiscal
use
year,
a day off,
or
correct.
turn it into a payroll check.
Yes.
And then I would have 50 hours max to carry
That you-
over,
that-
starting on July 1st.
Correct.
Okay. So then it would be whatever we have at the end of June 30th, and then the following year. So do we know how many hours, comp hours they are going to, do we have a projection of how many comp hours this year? That,
We did have that. Do you have that number?
I don't have that number offhand, no.
I guess,
Have been accrued this year? Is that what you're asking?
I'm not sure I'm asking the right question. I guess the question is it 175,000 of that 475 that's a carryover? That's too high, or is it 50,000? What is
50
next
hours,
year's?
How many people to create a number to know what we start as our baseline is?
Yes, more or less, so that we know what
Yep.
the incremental addition for next year, what's the max it can be? And,
Captain Gillis that did calculation and he gave me the amount whatever we June 2025 will be pay out. And I'm assuming it is excluding that 50 because that we have to pay out. Like
Okay.
even if they have 120 hours and the 50, but I think I get that information from Captain Gillis. But I have the exact number. But if you want, I can go to my desk and give you that exact.
well, let's see if we can come up with a rough number. We have,
250 maybe the comp hour. I am thinking like 250,000 out of that 475,000.
could be carryover?
At the end of the
Or,
year.
out of the 475, 250,000 of it is comp hours
I think
that are
I can go
paid
because
out as-
yes, because
Okay.
they are different. There will be sick bonus, sick leave. There's quite a few things are going there. Not only the, but I have the exact amount how I get that 475. I can go meantime and bring that item.
Well, I think now I'm getting to the better question. So 475, we take 250,000 of it is the comp time issue. The rest, 225, is other pay, special pays,
Yes.
and things.
So what I did when I looked at comp time, that code 709, I go to the wages code 704 and see what is going there. So there was like the wages, there was the comp time, there was the sick bonus. There's quite a few different code was going there. So I go to each code and see how much we paid in the past and check with HR and Sam and Captain Gillis what we are going to be expected to pay when I do the budget amendment for this year or next year. So there's quite a 5 or 6 different categories are going there, not only the comp hour. There was other items too, which was always put as the wages.
Okay, so this new category, this new 709
Include
covers all of those
Yeah.
things.
So before that, everything was going to 704. So 704 is now only wages.
Wages, so it'd be
Yes.
straight time and overtime.
Overtime have the different code.
Okay, that's,
Oh,
yeah, I see it. Thank you.
712.
Okay, so it's just basically your base pay.
Yes, that's we did.
Okay. That makes sense. Did Ed help you, Patrick?
Yeah, obviously, we don't want to max out comp time. I mean, is there any type of guardrails that we have in place to, I mean, I know we're figuring worst case scenario, but I mean, I don't also want it to be, not saying that it is, I don't want it to be abused because it's, money we should be in wages and overtime. It's like above and beyond. So how can we mitigate that without?
So
having-
by contract, they're allowed to, when they work overtime or do training, they have their choice. And
Right.
so historically, most officers were taking it in pay, not in comp. That has switched kind of changed this year or over the last year or so, and they're taking more comp time than they used to, for whatever reason. But
we're still meeting, we're still almost at budget for overtime as well as this
Correct.
comp
Well,
time.
I
So
mean,
it's like-
and the 12-hour shifts are certainly a factor in that, a huge factor. There were the extra hours that they worked that weren't included in the original budget, and our training, it was on off time, as we've discussed, and so certainly that number went up because all the training was on their off time where that didn't used to be. So even this takes into account the 12-hour shifts if we were to continue, because that decision hasn't yet been made. And so it accounts for the 12-hour shifts. So this when the city manager says this is the worst-case scenario of, is the best that we can predict, it is based on the 12-hour shifts, the extra 104 hours for everyone, all the additional training that's on off time, and it takes all of those things into account.
And if council decides to go back to 8-hour shifts to help reduce this amount,
That number would come
That
down.
will go down dramatically, right?
It would.
Okay.
What was the ballpark on that number? That was my question.
250, I think. Is that?
Oh, right, okay. $250,000. Thank you.
Okay. So you're telling us that the max that we should spend next year with the budget as presented would be $7,795,000 or so. So 7.8 million for public safety.
Yes, according to this document, yes.
What was it, 7 point what?
7.8.
7.795 million.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
And follow up kind of to that. And I just want to make sure so that I'm understanding this. Just because it's in the budget doesn't mean they get it. So just because we approve the budget as submitted or with whatever modifications we make, doesn't mean that they automatically are going to get the cars or 12s or the foreman or the extra person in this department or that department, correct? Each of those individual items has to come back. So the one thing I wanted to say, because I wanted to make sure of that, because I thought that was still the case, but so for me, if I approve the budget, there's a lot of stuff I'm not going to approve when the vote comes, so I don't care that it was in the budget, that's just not going to be persuasive to me. So I'm just setting that out up front. But it makes it easier for me, because I'm like where you're going with the math, this is a math issue, and how do we make sure we have enough money? And also setting the expectations up, right? So I think, and I'm assuming we're all kind of in that same boat, we got hit with a lot of cost overruns, and we're still reeling with it. So I just wanted to make sure of that. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So I agree with you, but over the past few years, what I've seen, though, is if it's in the budget,
It's got to get special.
short memories,
I'm with you.
and things get approved. My thought process is to just, if we have a fundamental agreement on some of these things where it's just going to be a consensus to be a no, take it out right now, and don't even allow the opportunity to have it be approved later.
I don't disagree with you.
I'll take it.
I agree. I believe that the budget is a policy document. It expresses what the council's will is. And if we don't want something, now's the time to say no. If you have an objection to it, then let's put that on the table, or if you support it. And because just like any negotiation, there's wishes, wants, and needs. And some of these needs used to be wants.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through. So I would prefer that we talk through these now so that we know when they come back, like the stormwater improvements on some of these streets. Is that a need or a want? And that, so that Rob knows that if we pass the budget, the money's there and he should proceed for that planning. Or we're not doing it.
Yeah, my only counter to that is that some are on the bubble, and so I'd rather have them in the budget as a maybe as opposed to a no.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that we're going to have consensus amongst 7 of us. No, I know, but I was just trying to, I'm with you, let's talk the big things, but some things,
I've never voted for a perfect budget.
there you go.
So it's a compromise, but I would like to say, I think it's for the administrators, if there's an extra position and we aren't going to fund it later, let's tell them now. So they can prepare for that.
Because I think in that same token, what we hear as a consistent theme is that administration is overwhelmed. There's always so much going on, so many moving pieces. So if we already know right now that something isn't going to be approved, why add on additional work later that isn't necessary? Take away some of that, just unnecessary work.
Or unnecessary assumptions.
Yep.
Yes, so, anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. Anybody else have any comments on public safety at the moment?
So would this be where you'd want us to talk about things within the budget that you
Right.
don't want to agree to? Like,
Yeah,
you want to go by department, or how do you want to do
Yeah,
that?
I was going to ask that too. Are we going to go just in order?
Well,
I've got
it's
my
the
list
city
of-
manager's budget. What we did last year that kind of worked, I thought, was we went through the capital improvements. And we said, do you like that, or do you don't like that? And
Personally, I would love to go in order. It just,
it's fine, whatever.
but if,
But I think as, it was useful last year to say, these are the major expenditures. Do we like them or not? The leaf, like,
yeah.
you know, where that money comes from. So why don't you go through department by department? And we'll go from there.
Probably be a little bit easier to go from the perspective of the revenue and expenses. Revenues, I think we'll just save that at the moment.
Okay?
Going through the expenses, probably a little easier for me to start from my sheet here. So one of the reasons why we focused on capital last year is because there is so much in the budget that is not really discretionary because it's contractual, it's based on union contracts, it's just a regular course of business such as the heat, the water, bond payments, things like that. So that's really why primarily we focus on the capital improvements, is that those are the easily changeable things. I would say probably the first capital items to focus on are in buildings and grounds. 101, 265, 972, 000. There was one thing that we had previously talked about that I did miss excluding, and that was the City Hall digital sign for $45,000. I do have a quote from the company to fix it. I can't remember if it was $2,000 or $3,000, but we could certainly get another year, get it fixed, and reassess and see where we are next year.
Sold to me.
Consensus?
Yes.
Nope,
Yes. No?
absolutely not.
What?
So to me, to put more money into that, to just fix it, to maybe squeeze another year out of it, is putting lipstick on the pig. I mean, I think that digital signs are something that were popular in the 80s and 90s, and especially for a small city, it's not really necessary anymore. I don't think that I have ever relied on the city sign as my source of information. I mean, it's 2025. If people want information, everybody has a computer in their hand, right? You're going to go to the city website and get the information there. So I think that that is time and money that could be better spent on ensuring that the residents get the information via our website and other social media platforms, and that we could replace it with a monument sign. I would be much happier replacing it with a monument sign, which is, a lot of communities are going to that now. And, it's small town, right? I mean, small town, a lot of them, they can't afford a large digital sign, so you have a monument sign. I just think that it's a waste of money to spend right now.
Can we all agree that we're taking the 45,000 out?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's probably good for now. Worst case scenario, I can just turn the sign off because it will
Yeah.
obviously cost to replace it with a monument sign, which would be likely more than fixing it. So we can always address that in the future.
But then it'll be more of like a set it and forget it, kind of like the monument sign over at Steffens, right? Like the new ones that we got last year or the year before, whatever. They're beautiful, and they're going to last decades, and they're not going to require anybody going out there or sitting in an office with a remote, like updating the ticker.
So part of the capital outlay, we also have $20,000 to do epoxy in the DPW. This is something where the crew would actually be doing the majority of the work, and this is paying for the supplies. So that would mostly be done in-house labor. Salt dome extension, I think Rob did a good job about talking about that previously, is that this is a asset that we really need to protect. He wants to be able to extend that. We buy salt by the bulk and need to make sure that we don't have any issues with any of the rain destroying it.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so I agree that Rob did an absolutely fantastic job explaining it, but what I also heard in that presentation there was a lot of wiggle room of like borrowing and shifting things from city to city, as well as the fact that the winters haven't been as harsh, so maybe we just don't buy as much. I mean, I don't want us to run out, right? But I just think that right now, with other priorities and budgetary restrictions, that is a want right now and not a need.
I disagree. I think 800 tons is what the current dome holds. Rob? 400 tons, okay. And if we buy 1,000 tons a year? And so,
We're contracted too.
and as Rob indicated, you have to buy in March of this year in order to get deliveries in November or October, whenever they deliver this fall. So, and you have to commit to a certain amount, and they may not have it. If you have a difficult winter, which can happen, you may end up not having enough. And if you don't have enough, others may not have enough. So it's a game of weather and statistics and probability, and Mother Nature is the main driver of that. I'd hate to see tens of thousands of dollars of salt sitting out there exposed to the elements, and that if we did this one-time purchase, how long will this last? The dome itself, not the extension. 20 years? And so if we look at it that way, it's $1,000 a year to make sure that we're protecting that. That is an asset. And I just know that the difficulty, personally, I've had my client ordering it, panicking to make sure they could get their order in so they don't get left behind. And we don't want to. Maybe as over time we discover over 3 or 4 years we're only using 800 tons, and that becomes the standard. But at this point in time, we really don't know where the climate is. 10 years ago, we had the worst winter we'd had in 20 years.
Yeah, I think it's just that, what I heard was that year over year, we're ordering and using less. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we are using less. I mean, I know from my personal home, I bought salt once this year. Just haven't had the need. So I'm not saying maybe not forever, but I'm saying with everything else that's going on, we've got enough right now. Let's see where we're at next year.
We have enough what?
About a salt dome. Salt, because we had extra this year.
Right, and that the concern is that is it sitting outside still, Rob, or can you come up here and talk about our road salt situation?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The salt is no longer outside. The surplus salt was on the grade, and we used that
Okay.
First last year. Our salt dome is full right now, and we're still committed to around, I think, 400 or 500 tons that we have to accept by August 31st.
So
our next delivery will be delivered and stored on grade. I committed to significantly a less amount of salt than we historically ever have, which is a little scary. When we are at 800 to 1,200 tons a year we're using, with our salt dome being full and getting 400, I only committed to 500 tons a year for next year's purchase, which is 50% less than we ever have.
Okay, so you've already scaled it back, but we're putting that on.
Maybe.
We're putting it on the ground, basically exposed with a tarp. You said, okay. Councilmember Perry has a question.
I was just wondering what do we spend on salt? If you say we buy 800 tons, do we have a figure?
So just under $70,000 a year, under $60,000 a year.
For 800 tons?
Yes. yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can check the math, but last year's, we don't know what the prices are yet. We have to commit to it before the salt companies bid with the state of Michigan. We have to commit to the state of Michigan so they know how much tonnage they're bidding out. But last year, the prices came in at $57 a ton.
Okay. And would this be sitting on the new concrete? Or
No.
I'm just,
Store it on the gravel.
Good answer, you're
I'm
not
just
getting that
asking
25
a
grand
bit.
for the concrete.
and what is it right now? Just dirt under, or a gravel surface?
Yeah, we replaced, there was a lot of mud, accumulation of mud over a gravel lot in the back area, and we cleaned the mud off last year, and it's a gravel parking lot,
Okay.
a gravel lot.
All right, well, I would support that. You do not, and that's fine. And this is, I just
Agree to
wanna-
disagree, but I hear you.
Okay. All right, I think we've,
Keep that in for now? Because it will obviously still come back to you. The Senior Activity Center landscaping, 5,000. This is something that won't occur until after we have the mural painted. This is something we've been talking about for a number of years. Banners, another 10,000 we've invested in some of our banners this year. This is kind of the continuing of that program. We've had so many outdated banners and falling apart and weathered and everything, and this is just finishing up, or I don't necessarily know, finishing up.
Yes, it's, I think, as I mentioned at the first budget presentation, I think this is a relatively cheap placemaking investment in the city. You know, when you're driving through Fraser, you might not know it, but I think the banners are a high value. And we had an opportunity to place more than half of our banners up before our lift truck broke down, and we'll finish placing this spring and historical banners within the next couple of weeks.
So we approve them, it'll be a banner year.
Yes.
We're going to be here all night.
question about the epoxy.
He's going to be here all night.
That's pretty good. I like dad jokes.
That was- The epoxy floors, where are those going?
In the interior of our garage, right now, it's really extremely tough to keep the floors clean. It's old concrete, and a lot of mud gets dragged in there, and I just think we can do a better job having a cleaner environment if we place the epoxy floors. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I forgot the quote, but it was hundreds of thousands, it was close to $100,000 to epoxy the floors at Public Safety. And our guys have confidence they could do it, and the cost of materials were $20,000.
Okay, thank you.
So looking at all that, all those items, that would be reducing the capital from 130 to 85,000.
130K to 85K, and that. The carryover for the DPW parking lot is just something, what is that?
That's costs that we're going to have after the fiscal year, so that will have to be charged to the next fiscal year.
Okay, so we just did an adjustment for the DPW parking lot. Are we talking about the same parking lot or a different section of it?
Nope, that is the same parking lot. What we did this year, and it's, some past practices are biting my budget right now, where the money we budgeted, say, for capital improvement for water mains, we looked at, you know what you want to invest, you know what you want to do, but I made payments for the 22 water main project out of this year's budget, so city manager and I are doing a better attempt of looking behind and seeing what kind of cost have we not paid yet, so we can present a more accurate budget.
Okay. Sounds like the right way to do it. So if we owe $500,000 on a water main project or $200,000, we need to make sure the next year's budget, if we're paying it out of next year's budget, we need to budget for that, as opposed to just coming up with new projects and putting those in there and forgetting the ones we haven't paid for yet.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. So you've got that cleaned up for
Yes, it was quite a task, and I feel fairly confident we did. And I think if you, I don't have the CIP in front of me, but if you noticed, we put the engineering of the water mains for the future years into the budget of current years. So when we do have a capital improvement project planned, it's in the books. AEW has it designed. And, you know, it's always tough to complete a project within a year, but we're not going to be paying for a 22 water main project in 25, 3 years later.
And if we do, we budgeted for it. And we're, okay. Speaking of the engineering, I know it's not in this particular one, but you said 50,000 to engineer Morningside, so that we have it on the show. Morningside, I think, was one of them that you were doing engineering for next year, potentially.
Don't know that.
Trust me,
I have my
trust me, it
sheet.
was.
I have my sheet on my
Across the street
seat.
from me, I
yes.
remember it. So that would be a case where you're doing that engineering in advance, it's done, and if we come up with funding for a project, we're,
It's going to be on the shelf.
okay. Okay. Any other questions on buildings and grounds here?
All right, next up is the 301.
Oh, we skipped legal.
I was going to go there. I
No
was going to make sure
significant
Don was
changes there.
awake.
It's a need.
Good luck with that. And I need a trip to Italy, but
Would you like to touch on legal at all, Don? I'm serious.
Sure, I mean, I'm happy to. I don't really have anything to report. There will be no adjustments on my end. Obviously, it fluctuates based on litigation and civil rights and, labor in any given year. So, I mean, I think from my end, everything's pretty stable.
Okay, thank you.
So from the perspective of public safety and their capital outlay, the request this year is $70,000 for replacing one of the patrol vehicles, $40,000 for a detective bureau vehicle, $60,000 for 30 Glock pistols holders sights, and $25,000 for a UTV.
Anyone? It's on page 6 of 25, yep.
Page 6, 101, 301, 972,000.
Mr. Lasher, can we just do like we did last time, freeform and not?
just go for it.
Thank you, push the buttons. So with cuts being made and with the budget adjustments that we need to make some, I feel like everybody's kind of got to put a little skin in the game. I mean, I understand what the UTV could do, and I understand it would be helpful for the once a year for the weekend that we have the picnic. And I mean, I get the parade and stuff like that too, but I know we have like a golf cart I know that they use. And right now, if we're going to cut something, I'm thinking that is the least.
I agree.
Of. I mean,
It's a
I'm
want, not a
fine,
need.
yeah, I'm fine with obviously a patrol vehicle. I'm absolutely fine with the guns and the sights. I'm not even really against the admin truck because I know that one's, yeah. I mean, I'm saying me. I know it's.
I feel like that's a need, not a want.
So,
I mean, a want, not a need.
yeah.
I feel like those two should be cut, given how much we've had to adjust the budget and may have to adjust the budget if we elect to go to 12s. And fortunately, we've been blessed to not have to turn away anything. Those aren't the primary vehicles that are being used for our public. I 100% would never want to cut the cop cars specifically or the guns and everything, but those other two things are, to me, easy reductions.
You said the admin vehicle?
The admin vehicle and the UTV, so 65,000 total.
So I'm good with the patrol vehicle, but I would be a no on the admin vehicle, simply because I think that there are other options that we need to look at. I don't know that that's a need right now either, based on the condition of the vehicle that we heard last time. with everything else going on, I can't in good conscience say that I'm in favor of that right now. So I would take out the admin vehicle and the UTV, but I'm fine replacing the patrol vehicle and then the guns.
Director, do you want to weigh in on any of that? So, just so we get your perspective.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to.
It's your budget.
Is there a specific question?
Well, you heard patrol vehicle seems like a need. And
Yes.
the admin DB vehicle is seen as possibly on the bubble. And then the UTV, let's start with the UTV. Is that a want?
We've lived without it all this time. We can live without it.
Okay.
It is.
Thank
We certainly have use for it. I mean, we can argue that, till, as long as the day goes. But, and we have great use for it. And I aspire to get that at some point. But I wouldn't argue the point with you. That wouldn't be the hill I die on.
Okay. And then the admin DB vehicle.
It's still running. It's in good condition. We've taken good care of these cars. It's just very old. It's got 165,000 miles on it. And it's in the rotation for the capital improvement plan that I put together last year for our entire fleet, including motorcycles and ambulances and admin cars and patrol cars and all of the vehicles that we use. So I was asked to put something together so that the council could see where we were going and so that we could space out the needs of these vehicles so that we wouldn't be bombarded with many, many vehicles all at once. And we went several years without any cars, and then we order the cars, and as you're well aware, it took a long time. So we do have, most of the cars are new. I believe that this one that you're discussing now is certainly a need when it comes to the patrol car. The admin car, can we use it another year? Eventually, we will have to replace these cars. And again, it's about spacing it out so that we're not bombarded with huge expense all at once. Can we live with this car another year? Yes.
Thank you. I think we got our answer.
Absolutely. And I mean, I remember your proposal for rotating out the cars last year schedule, and it was absolutely fantastic. I think part of like my higher level thinking with some of the things on this budget as well are just not even so much wants and needs, but things that we've spent money on over the past few years that improve the quality of life of the residents, but maybe they don't see like a direct benefit, every day. So like obviously having good public safety and, good running public safety vehicles and fire and DPW, all of those things impact the quality of life. But we also have to think about like amenities, right? And things that other cities have as well that we haven't put any money into in years. So that's kind of where I'm coming from also, is if we can take out some of these things that maybe we don't immediately need, we can move that money and give it to something that the residents can see a more direct impact to their quality of life and or amenities that are provided in other cities that we don't currently have.
Agree 100%. We should take those two things out. I mean, if that's where we're going to cut, I'd rather cut there than anywhere else.
If the transmission ends up laying in the middle of Garfield, come back, we'll talk about it.
We'll fix it.
We'll fix it. All right. There you
No,
go.
we won't.
I'm going to digress just a smidge, just because kind of talking about that forward thinking, because it kind of goes along with your long-term capital improvement plan. And this is exactly that. Like, you have a plan, but sometimes you have to pivot because unexpected costs come up. And that's why I appreciate everyone being open to areas where we can pivot. But this weekend, I had the pleasure of moving my daughter to Knoxville, Tennessee for the summer. And as I was walking down the street, there was a police officer out in an electric vehicle, the Ford. And I was like, oh, let me ask him about it, because I knew that Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland was a big proponent of it, and I know where my husband lies, and maybe that's over here. But we spent actually like probably an hour talking to them about it, and they had a lot of great insight into. They very much like it. City of Knoxville is about the size of Grand Rapids in terms of everything, other than they're twice the size. But the one thing that they liked about it that was an unintended benefit was the community engagement. And so it's something that maybe that becomes something that, like the DARE car or like the UTV or something, it becomes something that's in the parade, because it was really cool looking. So I just kind of wanted to share that Obviously, I don't have an opinion on it, other than it's a part of the future in some capacity. So I just wanted to share that with you, that other cities are hopping on board, and Knoxville was all in on it. And they had an older officer and a younger one, and they both were raving about it, so.
Yeah, and I don't object to doing the EV, and I know we've talked about that quite a bit, actually, and if the council's wish is for us to go in that direction, I just need direction, that's all.
Thank you. Anything else on public safety? We're just talking about capital improvements at the moment?
Correct.
Okay.
Then
I think those are the four.
Pistols is a,
Yeah.
Yes.
And the patrol vehicle.
Yeah.
And the patrol. So minus 65K is what I have.
Yep.
yep, so that would bring that to 130.
Thank you. Anything, do we have another public safety capital improvement?
Yeah, that's correct, 130.
I guess we'll come back to that.
That would be in
That was an
1210
ambulance.
for ambulance, yep. So the next one we'll be looking at is Public Works. I don't know if you want to look at the repairs and also the capital outlay. So page 7, 101, 441, 930, 100. That would be the storm drain maintenance repairs.
Yes, let's talk about all that.
I guess my question is, do we have a choice?
I was gonna say, aren't those things that need to be done?
I mean, to me, I feel like that.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a long list, and I'm assuming these are the top of the list.
There's a long list, and they're on the top list because our list is overwhelming, and a logical way to attack this problem might be in coordination with the water main projects, where we have contractors that are working that.
And that's what you did in this budget.
Yes.
So to me, I don't see a need to parse this out if you've already done that, based on your expertise. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree.
Well, that's one part of those. Can you tell us what we're buying for that $750,000, so that if somebody happens to be watching the meeting, they know what we're buying?
So, I don't have the slide to show the map, but there's a good portion of our cities that used to have ditches, and there's corrugated metal pipe underground, which is rusted out and failing, and has blockages for the stormwater to pass through. And in 2016, AEW presented a very awesome report with a recommended plan to proceed and take care of these needs, which sat on a bookshelf and collected dust. The first effort we made was the Masonic pump station that we did last year. A lot of these asset management reports from AEW, in my perspective, are very scary to read. But when you look at this is a very conservative approach to chip away at the problem that we have with our storm.
And doing it simultaneous to water main repair and a road
Yes.
overlay, correct?
Correct. And this might be a good precursor, is we do have the Kingston water main project coming up, and we did some video inspection of the storm sewer there and reviewed some of the old reports. And within 3,400 feet from Fruhoff to Utica, but there's 19 blockages in the line. You cannot do point repairs. The Kingston water main is in this year's budget, and, you know, there wasn't a foresight to plan the storm repair with that. So precursor warning is we're coming up with estimates and to see if the council has a desire to replace the storm along with the water main project that's going to occur this
You said that was 3,000 feet or something?
3,400 feet.
It's a lot.
It is.
Yeah. Do you know how many feet Aletti, Schoolcraft, Vernetta, and Serial are? I mean, just
No, I do
all-
not.
Okay.
No.
So are we looking at another 700?
I would guess you're looking at under $200,000. But we're going to get a price from the contractor, and That'll be before you, more likely next month.
Okay. So for consensus on council, are we in on the storm repairs coinciding with the water main replacements?
Yes.
Well, I have a question, Rob. Do the storm repairs, do they affect the street? Do you have to dig up the street to redo like the storm sewers and the water mains?
There might be unique incidences where, like, I think the storm on Kingston, I know, goes underneath Fruhoff, but most of the storm lies in curbless roads, which are asphalt roads, and it's in the green belt underneath the drive approaches.
Okay.
So there's the expense of replacing the pipe and repairing the drive approaches after we replace the pipe too.
Okay. My issue is I can only really relate to, if I'm going to say this right, Elodie and Cyril. The road is in such bad repair. We're going to redo the roads and then we're going to not do the storms. We should do it all at once. And I know. I just want to hit on that. Like we should do it all in one lump sum and get it done, so we don't redo the road twice.
And I agree with you. And that's kind of, we started that philosophy with Fruhoff, and I think it worked well. I just want to say it out loud so that we continue to try to coordinate these projects to keep the cost down, and we fix it once and we're done.
Yep.
You know, I think another important point to touch on is what you said about the presentation that was given by AEW years ago and like the systematic approach in which we're doing that, because I live on Schoolcraft, you know, so sometimes I get flack of like, well, you're on council, like what about our roads? You know, it doesn't work like that, right? It's not fair
It's
to
a logical
do
plan
it that
that
way.
benefits
Right.
the residents in a logical order.
Exactly. So like last year, like I drive down College a lot, for example, to get to Schoolcraft, and that was repaired and replaced last year. And it was like perfectly fine that I had to stand in line because I saw how bad College was, and I saw how much that it flooded when it rained really bad. So it's one of those things where it's like, this is the correct approach. This is why we hire our engineers and we have our experts doing what you do best, and we don't play favorites with what roads get replaced or repaired when.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you. So, Mr. Councilman Perry, I think you made a good point. And interestingly, in 2014, Fairview was replaced, and I was blamed. It was accused
Of
of
course.
getting favorite, and I said I didn't get elected till 2015, so I don't know how that worked. But
Maybe that's why you got elected, because your road got done. Now we see.
Well, that's the thing is, you
I
know,
also closed Hayes several times to keep the traffic down.
it's also been said that I haven't been advocating hard enough for Cyril Elodie Schoolcraft, but
Looks like we're addressing
Looks
that.
like you are as you're on
I'm
your way
not.
out.
Like it's getting done when
Maybe.
it needs to get done. Oh yeah, right. Just in time for me to go.
All right, a couple other things. Can I just ask? Catch basin repair, $100,000, that's just an ongoing expense, correct?
It's an ongoing process where we spray foam line the catch basins and, or rebuild them if needed.
Okay. And then the other big ones are Masonic Detention, that's finishing up that project there.
An update on that, the entire pond has been dredged back to its original dimensions, which it, like alarmist, but is like, does not meet a 10-year storm, but it is significantly better than it ever has, and we are in a much better position to handle the stormwater for those districts. I think it's Phoenician Village and just north of there. But, and the one pump has been installed, and they're starting to work on the other pump.
Great. And so 774 finishes that project?
Yes.
Theoretically?
Yes.
And then the other one, the one that's, I think, due to, we talked about it a few months ago, is Linden Station abandonment.
It's interesting, I was doing something that I did 20 years ago, was like doing the engineering work, trying to investigate and find out where things go and look into manholes. We are still doing an investigation on that effort, and I believe we don't know what the solution is, but we budgeted $300,000 to remedy the solution once we're done with the investigation.
And that's off of Utica.
It's off of Utica, and a lot of those lines run behind, from Fraser and Linden and underneath some houses and backyards and so forth.
And how old are they? Decades? Well, I guess they're
They're-
older than the houses.
I suspect it's part of the original plat that I seen where Fraser Avenue, when the city was first platted out before anything was developed, was designed a super wide right-of-way to go through the whole city with alleys in the back. And somewhere along the line, it was replatted and developed without discovering that we had storm lines where they're building houses and yards.
Okay. So any questions on the Linden? That's a waiting, but we're putting a placeholder in here for that, but it's not a for sure project yet.
It'll be for sure next year. The estimate is the $300,000 remedy.
Okay. You're going to propose a remedy. We don't know what the exact cost would be.
Not to exceed.
That's always difficult in these kind of projects, but,
Just split it between two budgets.
well, then we're still exceeding. We're just spreading it over an arbitrary calendar, so.
Well, yeah.
Anything else on here you want us to understand about Public Works? Capital improvement?
The 441,
Yeah.
I think we covered all the major repairs and capital improvements.
I think so. Cured in place, that's just similar to the rehab we do on sanitary sewers. Similar.
Yes, is that listed in the 441 or?
There's $25,000 carryover, that's all. It's just a small amount.
Okay, yes, cured in place repair is where you loon into the line and cook it, and you have a line that's repaired for 50-plus years at fractions of the cost of doing an open cut.
Okay.
And that was the only change from the draft one, was adding that $25,000 carryover.
Okay. Any questions, objections, or comments on this one? Okay. Great. All right, keep going.
Right, I will just do a little bit of a overview on Senior Activity Center. We did back out the full-time labor position and also reduce the operating supplies to just what we have had with the past couple of years, and also reduced the professional contractual services because we're reallocating the cleaning services to buildings and grounds to be consistent with all of the other departments.
So with these bikes, the exercise equipment, is this something that we can take out of CBGD funds? Like any allocation of those funds?
We would have to put a grant in for that.
Okay, so we couldn't like arbitrarily do that?
No.
Yeah, and do we have a cost on what that would be for that equipment?
When Chris was originally looking at it, he was looking to add an additional $5,000 to his operating supplies and felt that $10,000 would be enough to cover both just the regular operating supplies and getting some recumbent bikes and other exercise equipment for Senior Activity Center.
Yeah,
So you took it out, though?
Correct.
So we don't have to talk about, because he had 10, then he reduced it to 5.
Went back to
See how
the-
it's zeroed?
15, I thought.
Yeah, it's zeroed. See if you look, there's nothing for that. So that's something if
all right.
during the year we find out that we have all this extra cash, that could come back.
So is this going to keep the hours steady, so we're not expanding the hours because we're not
Correct.
in the full?
Correct, we're just going to maintain what we have.
Okay.
Good with me?
So there's no capital on this, though, anymore?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions on Senior Activity Center at the present time? Going once, twice? We can come back to it. Okay, let's move on.
Probably one other thing to focus on is on page 9, 101, 751, 880, the fireworks is what is under the community promotion. I know that we're going to have that coming back to you because with the tariffs, the prices have gone up.
Told ya.
Wait a minute, we paid
That's
tax?
your man.
Wait,
Oh, never mind.
Fireworks.
maybe Qatar will pay for them.
So that item will be under consideration again.
Knew that
I don't know if you want to,
Didn't we have to sign the contract ahead of time, though? I thought we already had signed a contract.
so I think all that we really did was
One
to set the
firework.
date with the Lions. We still have not finalized what the services are yet. It's my understanding, so it will be back on the agenda in June.
The good news is today he said he's lowering them, so they're not going to be forever.
That's
Just saying, so maybe we'll get 2 fireworks.
So I just
Yeah,
wanted to
okay.
highlight that.
Is that for this August, or is that for the
That's
following
because someone
year?
never thinks about the trickle-down
this
effect.
August.
This will be
of
in July.
decisions.
It's August.
This August.
This August.
Okay.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
I thought we had to have that
It
contract.
hasn't been
in place.
changed from the council draft 1,
It's in your
from the recommended budget, but I just wanted to make you aware.
Thanks for being on our fireworks.
I'd
get-
rather get the UTV than have the stupid fireworks.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Put it in something that we can keep, that doesn't just evaporate in the air.
The next,
Humbugs.
A little fireworks is fine. I'm fine with some fireworks.
You're going to get one.
We don't have to go overboard.
What would you like to see? Make a
Well,
number.
what were we at? We were at 15,000, right?
Yeah,
And then Lions was at 10?
Correct.
Right.
And so how much did this tariff issue, do we know how much it raised it to?
it looks like for the same price, we would be having, so when we originally got it, we were going to get more fireworks for the same price, and now it sounds like we're back to where we were last year. So it would be the same thing for the same price.
Would you like it shorter?
I mean, to me, it's down to the minutes. Like, do we need 35 minutes of fireworks or whatever it is?
Always 20 minutes.
It's like 20 minutes.
20 minutes now? At
I think they were looking
25,000?
at going a few more minutes this year.
You were gonna.
But it's backed up now.
I understand that. That's-
They can even get in. I mean, seriously.
It'll be at
Bring your own
the,
firework party.
at the meeting next
I really think,
month.
I like that idea.
Oh my God.
What do we need?
I was kidding.
Public fireworks.
Oh my God, no.
Bring your own. What do you think about that? We'll just let
Okay.
everybody bring their own fire.
Let's move.
It's like having the water fight.
I don't think that'll work.
No litigation for something like that.
We'll let you go first.
I don't like fireworks. I don't care.
So the next capital item that we have is
Under
under
diversion.
under park maintenance on page 9. That's 101-770-972-000. This was 200,000 that we left in for just miscellaneous park improvements that we would be certainly bringing things on a case-by-case basis for approval.
So you took that out just to lower the number?
No, she didn't take it out. It's still in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maintained from,
It's still in there.
We skipped over, okay, I guess we're just,
we're focusing mostly on the capital.
We're just doing capital.
no, I know where we are. I'm saying, but we didn't discuss I get the part-time building clerk, but the economic development, like, we didn't.
We didn't talk about staffing yet. We're just doing capital.
All right.
What page are you on?
This is on
Talk about buying stuff. And fireworks apparently is stuff we buy and we blow up right immediately. Like a moments after we buy it, we
Like
just blow
salt,
it
you
up.
know?
Let's just
out there,
all
it
go
goes
to
and it's
Kentucky and get a
All
bunch.
right.
And
So,
Sticks around longer than the fireworks.
We're there now. We got to buy them
park
now.
maintenance, all right, so park maintenance is still $200,000. And there would be things in there, I think Fort Fraser painting or staining is improvements or some of that. I did read the park improvement plan or the park inspection for Fort Fraser. It was quite comprehensive. I'd never seen it before. Have we done any of that? Or,
We took care of the critical items, and I think they've actually been working on some of the additional items as well,
okay.
as time allows.
Rob, at some point in the future, not tonight, but could we summarize that multi-page report and tell us what we've done and what, is that how you're going to approach what we need to do?
This is an easier question. We've completed everything on that list, but it's an ongoing process where some planks on the bridge came undone over the winter, and we had to repair those, so.
Okay. Did you change the tower back so it wasn't leaning?
That wasn't on the list of necessary repairs, but it might be the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
So we've done everything that was necessary. I saw some that needs improvement or immediate fix or whatever the term was.
Everything that was on that list, we addressed.
Okay, all right. And you were talking at some point in time about staining that or painting it to give it a few more years or at least preserve what we
Yes,
have in place?
I think it was around $3,500, but definitely under $5,000. There's a firm that has painted Fort Fraser every other year forever. And about 4 years ago, we stopped this maintenance activity, and it desperately needs it. It's part of protecting your investment in Fort Fraser, and I think it's really will make a huge difference to get that done.
Okay.
That'll come out of this 200? Is that the,
The 770, 972,
yeah.
or that could be a repair.
200,000 she's talking
Yeah, sorry, out of this allocated.
What is the cost of that?
Out of 200,000, yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Of the paint, he said like
Yep.
5,000.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Under
ma'am.
5,000.
Oh.
The quote I received was over a year ago, and I wasn't convinced that we wanted to invest in there, and I think I'm feeling that from council, at least to stain the Fort Fraser.
I'm comfortable leaving the 200 as
Yeah,
is.
and-
Because it gives the residents the potential to get something that they can immediately see.
And,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
And also, the handprint wall, it's past its prime. I know there's some sentimental thing to some people with it, but it just is an eyesore. So we either, I think, got to
Just
look at repainting it or using the right type of paint, or I'm not sure what that wall even serves a real good purpose for. I think there's some sort of
There were
There's some
donor
kind of
names on it.
memorial.
donor names on it and stuff like that, but I mean, it doesn't, other than that, it doesn't serve a real purpose, but I don't know. But I think we should find a solution for that one way or another, whether it's worth upkeeping or
Yeah, it needs,
getting
Needs
a
to be
plaque and
painted
put it
at
on
least.
the side of one of the buildings and, not having to worry that. I think that's something we need to explore to give it a spruce up, or if we're going to paint the outside, we might as well do that one as well, so.
I defer
Agree.
to them.
There was,
I greatly appreciate Councilmember Odell bringing that up, because there is need for maintenance on that wall, and I don't know what the story is behind, but there's a lot of kids' handprints on there, and there's might be some feelings out there or something going on.
It was a fundraiser. We raised about $2,000 to go back to Fort Fraser, and it's still sitting in the account. And it was just a community project my wife started, and lots of volunteers helped out with that, and it was a very successful event. But it's past.
There wasn't an
it is-
expectation that it was permanent, because it was paint on our hands. It wasn't like,
Right. So it was $5 a hand,
Yeah.
type of thing. So it's just a fun project to do, but the paint's peeling. It probably takes a special type of paint for that concrete to soak in. So just has to be done right in the right type of paint. So
make a,
sounds like there's consensus to direct the DPW to fix that
Yes.
problem at your discretion with what you think is best.
What about,
That's something that you guys can probably.
or if that other company is gonna you're gonna seek that, I don't know if they can do that as well. It doesn't hurt to look, or get a price.
With council's direction, that I think we can address doing a performing maintenance on that wall, either figuring out how to strip this down, put the right primer on there, and just paint it a solid color to get by, or if it's something unique, I will talk, the painter will give me free advice, and if it has to be something professional, it'll be brought for you also. But I would love to do some simple maintenance on it, repaint it.
Agreed.
question. Last year, I think Mr. Ragsdale was still here, and we were talking, I think it was last year, we were talking about a shade, and then Fraser First had offered to donate some money. There's money there. Have you looked into anything short of the $60,000 shade that was?
We have not, if you still have the capital improvement list that I gave you, I was sure to track that on there and make sure that the donation from Fraser First is on there. City Manager Levens was recently at a conference and met with the vendor that had an alternate shade cell. So we can reach out to him and just see what they have and come back with, and just see if we have it.
Would we want to do
Alternates.
that, though, knowing that Stephens is being completely reimagined? Would we even want to?
That will take a decade.
It depends on the price.
More than a
If
decade.
it's a few thousand and we have donor money and money we raised 5 years ago, and we
Okay.
can put it towards it, let's see what it costs, but not $60,000.
For real.
Okay?
Oh, and also for parks, did we not put out an RFP for a plan, or do we have a budget for that, for Stephens Park to,
So we do have proposals that have been sitting in a box in my office, waiting for the budget to get completed so that I can work on reviewing those and bringing them to council for consideration.
Okay?
Yay.
So park maintenance at 200,000 stays. Agreed?
So for the next capital, Rob gets to stay up because we will be moving on to major streets. So 202, or I should say page 11, that's 202-441-972. The only change that we made from the council draft one was adding an additional, I'm sorry, to council draft one was adding an additional 25,000, which is carryover for the miscellaneous concrete project.
We're talking 202?
Correct.
I don't have a problem with any of those allocations.
Same.
I think they're needed. And some of them correspond, I think, with other things that are going on, so.
I guess I have two questions. One, I had asked you before, Rob, did you check on Callahan and see if that was major streets or local streets?
Thank you for asking that question. Callahan, and bringing it to my attention, Callahan is a local road, so it is recommended to switch the capital outlay in major streets to $580,000 and increase local streets to 974,900.
Okay, so just moving that from local, or from major to local.
Yes.
The other question I have, Mulvey pathway pre-planning, 350,000. Is that just engineering, or is that?
That is
That's a
not
lot.
deeply involved in that project, but it is a multi-year project, and that might be part of the pre-planning and getting that project started, but it was reduced. Let me see if I have Mulvey here. So that was, what's requested in the budget is $60,000 towards the capital improvement, and the 375 is over 3 years, with the majority of the construction being performed in the budget year 26, 27, and finishing in 27, 28.
Can you say that one more time? Because I'm just looking at this budget here, and it says Mulvey Road, Mulvey pathway pre-planning, 350,000 reduced. I'm just trying to, that's not any
I
construction.
need to see how it landed in the
says-
budget real quick.
Definition of pre-planning.
Yeah, I think that it was a portion of the pre-planning.
It was
Starting some of the
700.
project, and we reduced it because we were separating out over multiple years, from what I recall. Does that sound right, Rob?
Yes,
And that was the one, I think.
401. Let me just look at how it looks in here. So I don't, when it's listed at 350, I believe that the notes in here should, the total amount that we expect to spend on the pre-engineering is the 60,000.
Okay, so that makes more sense. So the engineering part of it would be what we're looking at this year.
Yes.
And to Councilmember Baranski, the other, last meeting was about looking out for grants, going for grant dollars and seeing, so hopefully our portion would be somewhat less than that 700,000 or whatever we were looking at for the total. So pre-planning is 60.
Yes.
All right.
We do have that SEMCOG sidewalk grant we are currently working on and should have a draft form at
Great.
the June meeting for your consideration. That's one of the items that really feeds into being able to get grants for Mulvey as well.
Great. Very good.
So one question then that I have for Rob, knowing that we are moving Callahan from major to local, we can do, I believe, up to 50% transfer of our funding from the state between major and local. Are you looking to change that amount at all, or are you comfortable with where the fund balances are for both of those accounts right now?
I would have to look at our fund balances and see where we're sitting to make that transfer.
Okay.
Is that something you recommend, Elaine? Possibly.
So typically, we do a lot more work on our local roads, and it's been past practice to transfer a portion, either 25 or I think up to the 50.
I think it was 25.
We do have a semi-complex spreadsheet that breaks down where our allocations are going in from our Act 51 money, and I just don't have that in front of me.
I'm in support of it because the more money to our local roads, the better for our residents. So immediate impact, I'm with you.
Okay.
So in 23-24, we transferred 275,000 from major to local.
Yeah, I think we've done that pretty much every year when we had additional funds.
With the Callahan project estimate being 214,000, I would recommend that we transfer at least that amount.
At least that amount, and with, to cover the total 900 and something thousand dollars for all the overlays.
I support that. Is there consensus?
Well, I'll leave it to them because we also, the only reason I leave it to them is they're the money professionals. We're looking at doing Utica Road.
I know, but isn't that something that we then have to approve in the budget?
No. No, not.
Utica Road is a future consideration where they applied for a TAP grant, and that is not within this budget.
No, right, I get that. I wasn't.
Yeah, this is part of the
transfer of the money.
I don't know that we've ever done that. I don't recall if we've done that way. But
Just do it after. Is that what we do?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And the reason I bring this up is because Utica Road from 14 to 13 is on the TIP, Transportation Improvement Plan, for federal funding in 26 or 27 or 27 and 28, at which time our matching funds come from that 203 account or 202 account. So having money in there to pay for, like we did with Garfield, all of our Garfield contribution came from major streets. And that money comes from gas taxes, fuel and registration fees. So,
So looking at the fund balance that we have on here, we are probably comfortable enough to carry a load of a couple 100,000.
yeah.
I don't know that there are any restrictions as to when we have to do the transfer. Not aware of any.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with doing it if we have projected out what we need for Utica Road and, or making sure we pay for that. I don't want to have to come back and allocate money from general fund to pay for Utica
Oh,
Road.
100%.
If we can pay for it out of this major streets that is covered by gas taxes.
In the 5-year capital improvement plan that I gave you a copy of, we have Utica 401,000 budgeted for 27, 28, and another 400,000 in 28, 29 for our matching shares.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. That's good news.
So the only change that we're going to have then for 202 is to transfer out Callahan from major to local.
I think that's it. Is Callahan having any other stormwater improvements, or?
It is not, but I think I mentioned that it was one of the first water main projects that Mike Vigoron worked as a young man in 2006 or 2007, and the road needed to be replaced then, and it needs, this is an overlay, this is not a complete replacement, but you're getting another 10 or 15-year life out of it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You just aged him. He's going to come for you. When he was a young man.
Imagine.
That was priceless. All right, moving on.
Let's go.
We're burning daylight, people.
All right, so moving on to local streets, 203-441-972-000. That increases the $760,600 to $974,800.
Okay.
And there were no changes from the recommended to the council draft one.
Fine with me.
Yep, I'm good with this one.
I don't have any issue either.
And only thing you have here, contract or concrete repair. Is there any other concrete repair planned for this year?
No, I mean, because we're dealing with, a limited budget, we've always had a significant amount put into miscellaneous concrete program, and we haven't invested in our asphalt roads in quite a few years, so this is a switch to share the repairs, address the repairs.
Just thought I'd say it out loud, so. Okay.
All right, so now we are moving on to the ambulance fund, 210-301-972-000. New Squad 2 vehicle, $350,000, and from the recommended budget to the council draft, added an additional $100,000 for the striker power lift and cot.
Is that replacing a current one?
Yes.
I don't recall.
The cot that we are currently using is over 14 years old. It's out of warranty. So we put it on the capital list to replace it along with the ambulance.
Okay.
So do those two things go together? The new squad vehicle 2 is $350,000, and then the power lift and cot goes with it?
No,
Are there
the
any-
ambulance is the vehicle. The cot, it's a stretcher that you're
Okay.
referring to.
But would that go in to the squad vehicle 2, or that's going to go into squad vehicle?
So what we'll end up doing when the new truck comes is make that our primary squad, and the one that we're using as Squad 1 now will be the secondary squad.
How old is the current squad 1?
I don't have the year in front of me. I thought I had it on this capital
The
improvement.
newest one, it's not that old, right?
No, it's not. No.
4 or 5 years?
Yes.
And then squad 2?
Squad 2 has got, well, it's got it had last year 111,000 miles on it, so it was the primary squad, and then it went to the backup when they got the new truck, 5 or 6 years ago. And so we would do that rotation again. When the new squad comes, then that will be the primary, because that's the one that runs 24 hours a day, and the one, that we have will be the new Squad 2.
I think the hard thing for me is I really want to be in favor of getting a new squad vehicle 2, but again, it's all of these other budgetary things I'm looking at and current overall, the new things that have come to light over the past month with the budget, that it's and as well as just, what's going, I'll say it again, with the tariffs and the vehicles coming in and going out, last year was different, we were costs of things are going up, we want to be proactive. Costs are already up right now, so I'm kind of wondering, should we maybe wait to have it go down, but can we wait?
Well, this is also, if you recall, I think when I did my budget presentation, I indicated that this is at least a 2-year lead before that ambulance comes. They're actually saying somewhere between 2 and 3 years So 2 years is really a conservative or a liberal estimate of when it will be here. It may even be 3 years, so.
So then it would be safe to say that also costs could go up by then. So if we purchase it now, it still makes sense.
And the other thing to add, this is a dedicated fund.
Yeah, it comes out of the
This
ambulance fund.
is not coming out of the general fund, and we can only use this money for very specific things.
Yep,
So
that's correct.
So that's where.
That's correct.
We don't have that, so,
Right.
Okay.
but it does lead, so that's why I think you will be in favor of it, because the money is there
Okay.
and the lead time. But that leads to, and just when we talk about fees later, one thing we could do for our residents is either lower the fees we charge them or the millage rate, because this is very well funded, and a lot is coming out of there. And our residents are double paying because they're paying the millage and then they're getting billed for the service.
Yeah.
So I don't like that personally, but I also.
They're also paying, I'm sorry to interrupt, but they're also paying for the Fraser Department of Public Safety to respond as opposed to a contract ambulance. Not that they couldn't get an ambulance somewhere else, but it is part of this Fraser community and part of the Public Safety Department in keeping things in-house and something.
But we're
that's
paying a
been-
dedicated millage for that.
Yes, that's my point.
No, that's why I like the
what they're
millage,
paying
but I don't
for
like
is-
getting the bill because the service.
If you
is
have to
billed
utilize the service.
If you have to utilize the service.
And I understand, I just wanted to make it clear that you're getting the.
Oh, we're getting a lot
Public
more than
Safety
just an
Department and
Yeah.
not just a,
We're not getting rid of it. Just, can we adjust it to make it more palatable for the residents? This is my conversation that we'll have when we get to fees, I guess. It just triggered. But I'm fine with these expenses if everyone else.
I am as well.
Okay.
Next.
Okay to move forward with those? All right, so next, I'll just highlight, there's not really much to discuss here. Capital in the Industrial Park Road, this new Fund 213, planned expenditure of $8 million in this fiscal year, and then the remainder would be in the next fiscal year. Moving on to rubbish collection, Fund 226. In capital outlay, we have trailer-mounted leafer, 300,000, and some heavy-duty commercial trash cans, 10,000.
I really don't have an objection because we're going to be keeping the leaf program, getting the mounted leaf trailer, because I think that'll make it so that the job gets done more proficiently and in more in a timely manner.
Agreed. Any objections?
Just out of curiosity, I'm fine with that, but just out of curiosity first, because it's still on there, right? The shredding day and the bulk trash day?
Yep. Oh, nice.
Did we get, huh?
Is it all
Yeah.
nice?
Yeah, so just FYI, on the shredding day, I just want to point this out. There are lots of credit unions, ours does, it every year, twice a year, we have free shred days where you don't have to be a member, you can just bring your stuff up. So, and I know there's other credit unions that do it as well. So, as far as that goes, I would just say, like when I know those dates or something, I will let you guys know, you can publicly do it. Why should we pay any extra money to give that service to our residents when there are a lot, like I'm allowed to bring my shred, personal shred at home, even though I have a shredder, to work and then put it in the shred buckets at work. And like I said, I know we do it. I know there's several other credit unions and I know a lot of people belong to credit unions. But again, you don't even have to belong to a credit union to go utilize their shred day. They're standing in the parking lot with the shredded trucks and you just go and take your stuff. So, I'm not really in favor of necessarily moving forward with that because there are lots of free ways to do that. But I am in favor of the bulk trash day. But the other thing with the bulk trash day is for the stuff that's hard to get rid of. And I would like to bring that to everybody's attention. So like anything that still has, the thermostats that still have mercury in them, those are very hard to get rid of. So stuff that, like that kind of stuff.
So like a hazardous waste.
Yeah, exactly. I know we used to have it like once a year where you got involved with whomever. I'm sure it's still somehow the waste management company, but you'd have a hazardous waste day. And I still think that would be a better use of our money for our residents, and a lot more people would probably utilize that. Because even the museum has some stuff right now that they are trying to get rid of, but it's hazardous, so, they're kind of stuck with like, oh crap, what do we do with this? So
this is something we're working on, preparing a RFP for waste hauling, because we haven't done it in so long. We don't even seem to be able to find evidence of the original waste hauling contract, because there's been just so many that have taken over. So one of the things that we were talking about including in the RFP is to include these as part of the service with the regular service. So that's something that will be coming to council for consideration before we put an RFP out, so we can certainly talk about what we want to ask for and what we don't.
Rob, while we're here and we're talking about trash,
You're going to bring it up?
I'm going to bring up composting.
I have a note. I literally was like, I'm going to be a Patrice.
It has caused several more gray hairs, and
Tell us.
I've received
Tell us.
a dozen private messages saying, "Hey, I just got a picture. Here's a video. Here's a picture," and I saw it myself.
I can already tell you how to solve that problem.
I'm hearing it in other communities too, where they're not picking up any compost, and so priority seems to have an issue. And I don't know if compost is more expensive to tip, or is it less expensive to tip?
I think I'm speculating what everybody's, it's not an excuse, and they're paid to pick up recycling separate, but there's just not enough labor force out there to do this, and they're running shorter than they ever have. With that, it's not an excuse. I spoke to the vice president twice, and I'm meeting with him tomorrow. In addition, we're going to strongly consider writing a new RFP, but what I want from him is what he's thinking as far as a proposal to renew the contract compared, and then I can compare it to other bid tabs that other communities have and bring a recommendation to city council and look for direction. Do you want to extend this, or do you want to put this out? I think I don't know what the right answer is, but I will gather information.
So if I answer the question about the compost going in the regular garbage, you spoke to the vice president, and
Yes.
their explanation is lack of people, lack of resources.
That was my speculation, and when I talked to him on the phone, he told me he's going to look into it, and I was more than harsh with him on the phone when I talked to him and told him to come prepared. I actually asked him to prepare me an email response that's suitable to forward to our elected officials, explaining yourselves, especially if you want to bid on our solid waste or have it renewed.
Yeah. And compost and trash are different prices. I mean, one goes to, is composting cheaper, or is it more?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Do we pay?
I mean, are we
more
saving money?
Right.
I don't know the unit prices.
Are they saving?
I mean, maybe because the volume is there. I know we pay a lot less overall a year. in
Like 130,000
recycling,
for
yeah.
composting or something. Yeah, 135. So, okay. All right. So the answer is
More to come?
more to come.
Yes.
That's an answer I can accept for the moment.
And elevate it up, the chair.
Thanks for contacting them. Don't leave. You are the most expensive employee in this room right now.
So now
week.
we are going to move on to Senior Housing Fund, page 21. The capital outlay account is 536-265-972. And what we have in there is $170,000 for HVAC and hot water heater replacements, continuing that program. Replacing entry doors, $20,000. Carport lighting, $30,000. Courtyard gazebo and furniture, $200,000. Camera and Wi-Fi, $10,000. Emergency generator carryover, $150,000. And carryover from the parking lot, $6,500.
And since this is an enterprise fund, this is funds that are available that are not going to take the fund down so far that if any other major improvements were needed, that would not be able to accomplish it, correct?
You are correct. This is an enterprise fund. We have been making some improvements over the years, spending down the fund balance over there, but the fund balance is healthy and it's not going to jeopardize anything with moving forward with these improvements. And as a reminder, we did
Yeah.
do a minor rate increase to the,
Yes, I know. I remember that. Yeah, no, I just, the gazebo and the furniture thing at $200,000. I'm like, how big is this gazebo going to be?
so
Not that big.
Clearly.
Have you gotten any quotes lately?
I know, right?
Big.
So I think
6 by 10?
I appreciated Councilmember Sullivan's thoughts earlier is, these are rough numbers and those gazebos do cost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we'll have, before we put a ton of effort in shopping and seeing what we can do, what sizes they are, I want to know if there's an appetite from the city council to go through with this before we put a lot of effort in.
Oh, clearly. Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Don, did you have a chance yet to look at if we can get any money back?
When you say get them, you mean transfer money through? No, it's in progress. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
and that's fair. I didn't give a deadline.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to your budget now as a result of you.
I'm glad we're doing the carport lighting, though. I think that's very important for our seniors, especially at nighttime. I think that'll also give them some added protection in, as far as walking from their carport to the apartment building. Yeah, and I like the fact that we're adding cameras, more cameras as well, because, God forbid if someone falls, especially during the winter, there's not a lot of people out there. You'll be able to see that. I think it's a good thing because they will be a little more protected.
Thinking, I did not bring to your attention, the addition of the carport lighting will be outlets out there and the capability of putting holiday lights out during the month of December too. Right now,
It'll be cheery.
there's nothing to plug anything into out there either.
Okay. Any objections to any of these capital improvements for senior housing, senior apartments? Nope, I think you're good.
All right, with that, we will move on to the Water and Sewer Fund. First up under water is 2 million, and this is some carryover for existing projects and Ability, Schoolcraft, and Vernetta.
Elaine, can you tell me what page you're on, please?
22.
22?
So it's similar to what we talked about, it's just the other half of the project, right? It's the
It's
sewer
page
half.
22.
In coordination with the storm and the
Yeah,
paving.
that's what I was trying to say, so to me, it's a no-brainer.
Well,
It's the highest need in the city, the money's there, and we already did the other half in the other account.
And on behalf of my neighbors.
so have we, and I haven't been over, have they done Crestwood yet?
I haven't seen anybody on my street.
Okay.
I've seen them like on Davidson and stuff like that doing certain repairs. Oh,
Well, water mains, I mean,
no, I know, I understand that.
that's,
But really quick, I know this is completely off subject, but it'll be really, really quick, because I just noticed it yesterday. Where they just put in new cement on Davidson, right at Woody, there is a gap like this under that brand-new sidewalk. I just want to, because I didn't want to forget it, sorry, because I know I would have. So that we don't lose that brand-new sidewalk, we might want to put some dirt there.
Thank you.
so what is the carryover from previous year? Kingston, Northwood, Snow, Crestwood, and Huber.
So this is back to where we're a little behind on how much we're spending on the projects or how much we're completing. I mentioned our efforts to catch up with doing the preliminary engineering first, but those projects were listed in last year's capital improvement project, and we're doing the 23, 24 project and didn't get to the 24, 25 project. So this is carryovers from that year. I think it's worth noting, and maybe the city manager could help me explain our logic here, but if you look at the line item on page 23, the recommended capital improvement is $2 million. And that is, and if you look, we have on the next page, $516,000 of the carryover, $707,000 for Ality, and $616 on Schoolcraft, is when Municipal Analytics gave their report and recommended spending $2 million a year. We are trying to make clear, when he was saying going forward on all these amounts, does he know we didn't pay $2 million for the projects before and what we have coming up? So this is, the $2 million a placeholder until we have a better handle on our fund balance, and we know how much we can spend based on the rate recommendations that you guys approved.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're still planning on spending $2 million. It's just a matter of how we slice
Yes.
that. But we are planning on doing this year LED, Schoolcraft, and Vernetta.
That is-
And Kingston.
Yeah, Kingston, Northwood, Snow.
Kingston will,
Kingston's
you guys,
happening.
that will go forward. You guys awarded that to Paymar for an
Yep.
extension on that contract. And then it'll be step by step. We're going to, Angeli and Elaine and I have a meeting with John, what's John's last? Municipal Analytics on Monday. And we're going to spend a lot of time with him to
Okay.
understand his complex water model, his water financing model, to see where we're at.
Okay. I still didn't get are we still planning on doing LED, Schoolcraft, and Vernetta in the next year?
I think it all depends on
Okay.
the feedback that we get from
All right,
John.
because we've already put this,
Right.
the stormwater and the other road thing in there. I'm just trying,
So we-
that's all a big project,
Based on the study, we have $2 million to spend this fiscal year.
remember.
Has he accounted for the back costs of the things that we already have as liabilities to pay or not? If he did not include it, then it's likely that these are going to be pushed to the next year.
Okay.
I think the last time that I talked to Mike Bignoran about it, he said 2026.
Okay.
We'll have answers, but we're still maintaining that $2 million spending that was in the utilities.
We're going to spend $2 million on water this year.
Yeah, so we are committing to the $2 million that he put into the plan that was directly correlated to the water rate increase.
Yep.
And going to work with him to find out how much of the fund balance did he account for the committed projects from the
Understood.
previous year.
Okay.
With that, on this $2 million, in the, feel disorganized today, but I left my CIP back there, but within the CIP, it was proposed to invest, I think it was $300,000 a year in a meter replacement program. I would like some direction if the council has the appetite to invest $300,000 a year over 10 years. Thank you. On meter replacement.
I still think that's a good idea, because that way we know it's being read accurately. And with technology changing, a lot of our meters are not really up to par. I mean, I still think that's a good idea,
I agree.
because we might as well do it in a slow, steady pace instead of trying to, like, break it all out in 1 year. That would be almost nearly impossible. And it's gonna come, so.
How much does 300,000 get us?
As a reminder, the first quote was from Metron, and they could replace all our meters for like $3.5 million. I think that's going to be one of our higher quotes. And I just took that number in and just, it's hard to say what we can do or what we can't do or what we need to do. I just threw $300,000 out for 10 years to see what you guys thought.
Yeah, just for a residential meter is about $400, and installation's around 110 right now. So figure $500 a home for a new meter, and that meter will probably last with the battery 10 years. So everything's going to disposable.
Yes, it is.
And it's just the way it was.
So,
10 years.
Mr. Mayor?
My home's 21 years old, and we never got a new meter yet.
Well, these meters are either cellular or radio, and they have a battery in them. and the battery is what lasts 10 years.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Insane, literally.
If I may, as
What if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
a reminder, in the cost of these meters is going to be a software program that when the residents receive these, they can have live alerts on water use or log into their account and see in advance that they have a leak, and
There's
there's
an app for that.
notification that there's advancement in the software. They will even get a notification, you have unusual water use, check something. And so you can catch, a very large water bill or a large leak early with this type of software.
Wouldn't it be nice if DTE did that and said, hey, your lights are on, somebody left them on? Yeah, change them up. There's an app for that.
Thank you
And
very much.
we're going to strategically figure out a plan once we know that this is what we want to do. We would address the larger water meters first in the industrial area, because that's where you'll probably be subject to your most water loss. And then probably geographically go through, because there's no historical record of how old all the meters are. So it might be in the older subdivisions next.
Makes sense.
The newest ones, except for Royal Park, are 30-plus years old. So, and the life is usually 40 years. And they do slow down. That's the thing. They register less water over time. So,
Don't change mine. That broke.
And not to understate what the mayor just said, but a meter will I've never seen a meter over-register the water use. The mechanisms inside there wear down, so it doesn't detect as much water going through there, which contributes to our water loss from what Great Lakes sells us to what we sell back. And I have our water loss table, and, we're looking at 15, 13, 17% every year. But that includes hydrant flushing, fighting fires, and maybe some theft. There might be some people bypassing meters, and then meter inaccuracies.
and so if you can reduce that water loss, it's every percentage you're saving money. So, we wear two hats. We're customers, and we don't want our, we like our slow
I like
meters.
my slow meter.
At the same time,
It's not slow, but mine's only 21 years old, so I got one of the newer
at
ones.
the same time, we have an obligation to sell water.
It ain't
and meter it
losing. I got a
accurately.
high water bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love talking about water.
Yeah, but let's move
And
on.
I think it was suggested by a member of council, I can't remember what, but once you want to move forward with the $300,000 a year meter replacement program with the technology to be alert, we'll have to come or figure out an option that if a resident wants to do this, there'll be a cost because it's going to go outside the area, but what would the cost be to have their meter replaced so they can get the alerts and be the benefit of that software?
That's a good idea.
Or they can wait till we do it and it would be free.
That's a good idea.
Can I ask an item of clarity? So the 2 million that you have for capital, that would be something where you would not be making any other capital expenditures in the amount of 300,000. You would have this as part of your capital expenditure. So you have the ceiling of the 2 million, so you're not going to be doing another water project if you're going to dedicate 300,000 a year to water meters for the next 10 years.
So the 2 million that we're projecting for this coming year, 700,000 was, my eyes, LD and 600 for Schoolcraft. So we're around 1,600. Some other minor projects and $300,000 for meter replacement. That was included all in the $2 million.
You've also got the
Target for that
400,000
year.
carryover as well. Or
Then the carryover is the
I don't know
great-
that there's enough to do all of that. So you would have to carve something out if you chose to do the water meters, to
Got
stay
it.
within the 2 million.
I would suggest that we, in 26, 27, we itemize $2 million worth of capital repairs. There is a carryover. Don't know if to cut out the meters yet or if you accounted for the carryover or not from the previous year's projects.
Fair. So
We
maybe
just
it will.
recognize 2 million like his capital improvement.
Somewhere in the system. Yeah. And usually the meters would be included in the capital program.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a plus. So
Okay.
talk to Mr. Kasor, is it?
These are, yes.
Yeah.
So do we need to give direction to?
I don't think it changes the bottom line at all. We're still looking at the 2 million. It's just a question of where is it going to be spent, and we'll get some more answers from John next week about where we are.
I think he was asking if council
I think that,
direct him to.
is that something we would be interested in pursuing?
I'm interested in pursuing it from a revenue
Yeah,
integrity.
agreed.
And those meters are 40 and 50 years old over there, so.
And yes, that's the direction I'm looking for. If this is a priority, we will always commit $300,000 a year if this is the plan we want to do, and then target our capital improvements minus the $300,000 every year.
Got it.
That would be my.
Yep.
I would be in favor of that.
Sure. If they need to be replaced.
Eventually, they all need to be replaced. How many failures do we get a year? Handful, I mean, less than 100, or? I'm sorry.
Mechanical failures
bother
Water
you.
all night.
typically,
No, these all cost money, so
But I think that we already have a consensus.
okay, fine, never mind.
Sorry.
We're going to have to talk about it when he comes
Yeah.
back with the actual
Okay,
budget.
it's fine.
With that, we can move on to the sewer capital items, which is 592, 537, 972. This is just a carryover. We've got 525,000, 25,000 was an increase for a carryover for the sewer lining project. And then the original 500,000 budgeted for sewer rehabilitation lining project.
I'm fine with that.
Same.
It's just a continuation of an ongoing project,
Correct.
basically.
correct. Not alarmist, but I look at our storm and our water, I think we got to do more. But our sanitary sewer, I think City of Fraser has been responsible in investing $500,000 a year in cured in place lining, which is significantly lower than open cut. And if you can get ahead of the game in the sewer and have an opportunity to line it before it collapses, you are saving a lot of money. So with that, the $500,000 a year in sewer lining is what our recommendation is. Until, give me a second here. Three or 4 years from now, we are going to be back into a videotape and inspection program, which is going to deduct from the amount of cured in place sewer lining we can do. And we are following best practices of videotaping and inspecting the sewer.
Anyone have any?
Nope, I'm good.
All righty.
All right, we've got one more capital improvement line item, and that is in motor pool, 661, 596,981. That's on your last page. 3 four-wheel drive trucks with plow blades, 215,000.
Kind of feel the same way about this that I did about the public safety ATV vehicles.
Do we need them? I mean, are these the big like orange trucks that
No.
have the blade underneath?
No.
No, these are regular, we're envision
The
like an
quartz.
F-250 pickup truck.
Okay.
You're thinking of our 10-yard dump trucks that have blade underneath.
Okay.
But Rob, didn't you say like 2 of these trucks that you currently have are seriously rusted out and?
These are these trucks, we've replaced a 2006 Chevy pickup truck, a 2016 Ram, and I mentioned that, I can't remember if it was a lease or what, but, you know, two-wheel drive Rams just have a single purpose, drive you to a park to cut the grass. So there's not a lot of function, multi-purpose function in that. When we were asking for the 3 vehicles, we are considering, as part of that, is to trade in or auction off 4 vehicles. So we're actually looking for a reduction in our fleet to have more useful multi-purpose vehicles. We have a 2017 Ford Fusion that sits in our lot the majority of the time. Once a month, it might be used to go do an inspection when somebody's short a vehicle or whatever. But we do not need that vehicle. And so I could use Joe, but I think we have 5 3-yard dump trucks, and we have 10 guys. So we're not going to need all these 3-yard dump trucks at the same time. What we are going to need is more trucks when you're cutting grass or sending out single service to go clean cul-de-sacs or salt or plow the roads.
And this is funded through the motor pool that after that expense has a very hefty fund balance.
And actually, the fund balance goes up after spending on these 3 trucks, so it really is not coming from general fund or.
Right.
Or,
So I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I do know that they're well used on the smaller side streets, the courts
And parking lots.
and parking lots.
And
And
we have several that need to be cleared regularly, so. And the senior activity, and both the senior center and the senior apartments need to be cleared, so I think it's a good investment at this time, especially since stuff is gonna just keep going up in price.
Does the senior housing have its own truck? Or do we contract internally on those kind of costs?
We do, when you talk about all encompassing costs are there, I don't think we charge the cost of a vehicle, but the guy that's operating the vehicle is one of our union guys that goes out and plows the snow at the senior housing.
Okay, so
I
we
think
should be charging them
the enterprise
something
fund.
internally to cover the cost from senior.
Balance, transfer from GL.
Yeah,
Vehicle.
yeah, I mean, it's.
for everything,
it's
yeah.
an
Time.
It's an internal chargeback if,
Yeah, we have all those cross charges.
okay, we do that. I just want to confirm that we're,
Yep.
Good question.
Yeah,
always looking to make sure that that stands alone and that we don't have a hidden subsidy.
Yep, every.
yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
Every fund
We
that
did that
has
for a decade.
vehicles gets cross-charged a certain portion to motor pool to pay for motor pool.
Okay.
I think the snow is heavier on the north side of Fraser too, so
Yeah, okay.
go with me. I'm trying to get some increased revenue. It takes longer.
Okay, so
Okay.
capital improvement, 3 4-wheel drive trucks with plow blades and eliminating 4 vehicles, netting 3.
Purchasing 3 vehicles and eliminating 4 vehicles.
Any objections?
Nope. Well, yes, but
Well, it's not the hill I'm gonna die on.
Okay. I guess
So-
that's a plan to move forward.
So that completes our analysis of the capital improvement. So it's like
Yes.
the other more significant things that we have to address, whether that be this evening or another night, really come down to staffing and millage rates.
can we take a break?
Yeah, yeah, we're going to take 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Back at 9:25.
Oh, do we need to make a motion?
Okay, we're back. All right, we're back. It's 9:27. City Manager.
So the significant things that we have left to talk about are the millage rate, in particular the PA 33, and four positions that are still in the current budget and up for consideration. That would be the fire marshal position in public safety, crew leader in DPW, and then a part-time building clerk and a part-time economic development position.
The only one I have a problem with is, and there's a reason, is the economic development person. Only because I would want a bigger scope of what they would be doing. Not that I'm against developing and trying to get more development in the vacant little strip malls that we have, because I'm not. I just would want to know, I would like a job description of what they would really be bringing to the table before I would want to move forward with that.
And that would be something that, beyond this meeting and approving of the budget, that would definitely be something that would be a part of that process moving forward, would be that we would develop some type of job description, bring that before city council before we did any type of advertisement for that position.
Yeah, that's like the bubble one, right, where you're like, oh.
Yeah, because I want more development, and I know there's a lot of vacant properties, like I said, in the strip malls and stuff. But at the same token, I want to know what the actual value is, because for the most part, we are built up and built out for the most part. So I would want to know the value that that individual would bring. That's why, like, a really good job description telling me what the goals and the objectives are. And I know I thought you said it would, I don't remember how it's listed in here, but I thought it was like a part-time job.
Part-time, correct.
Yeah, part-time. So I'm not completely object to it. I just want more information.
I think if I can add another layer to what you're saying, so I agree with you 100%. It would be nice to have that and get a DDA and all of these things. But I think the feedback that we've gotten from the current administration is that there's already so many things going on that adding another head count under you and creating a job description and managing another individual and developing this out, I don't see with your current capacity how that could be effective at this time. So it's like, I think that there needs to be more planning and scoping and, other
Up on current things?
catching up on current things
That's
that need to
actually
be
really
done.
valid, that scratch it. If
For now.
you have capacity, bring it back for conversation, and then we can discuss all of it and then figure out a way to budget it. I agree with you. I think scratch it for now.
Yeah,
Got enough.
But other than that, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the 3 other positions that are being asked for.
What was
Fire marshal, crew leader, part-time clerk, part-time economic development.
So scratch economic, or, well, how's everybody feel? How's that?
yeah.
I'm in agreement to scratch it.
So part-time clerk.
Well, wait, can I?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I was waiting to hear.
Apologize.
In terms of the economic development, it's been talked about since 2007, actually. If we put a placeholder in the budget here, but understanding, and I agree with everybody, is that this would be something for further conversation, but if we put it in here as a placeholder and didn't spend the money,
I don't think we're even there yet.
why not? I mean, it's in the budget.
Because of the current capacity limitations that we're being told about over and over again by the current administration, I don't think that it's feasible at this time to add it to her plate, and why put it in the budget if it's not going to
Okay.
be possible?
Okay, I will.
my thought.
I will defer to you.
Or the majority.
Or the majority, not me.
Voice consensus?
We can bring it back anytime we want to,
Circle back next year.
or next spring.
We don't
Gary,
have
how you
vacant, do we have vacant property we need developed? I think most of the properties that are for sale would just naturally be bought and developed.
So economic development is more than that. So if you
Yeah.
have like a downtown development authority, it also can create like a commission or something like that, where there's like a board, and they take the businesses that are in the downtown area and they do things like, organizing street fairs or,
Like a Fraser Chamber account?
yeah, it's almost like a little mini chamber kind of thing. So, I mean, there is value in it, especially because
There
feedback
is.
that we got from the residents is that, they do want our downtown to have a more downtowny kind of feel, and that would be the ultimate goal of it. But it's just, at this time, the capacity doesn't seem to be there to do that.
I'd just like to mention, since we talked about free stuff from credit unions, that we have a free Chamber of Commerce. And I volunteer for the last 7 years as the vice president. And so the East Side Community Chamber is ready to serve and would work, and we already work with the Roseville Economic Development and the East Point Economic Development people, and so,
Well, there you go. One thing off your
With
plate.
The liaison between them.
well, they already have a person, though. Both of them they have full-time, but they're bigger cities, so.
Where is that at? I don't cross it off.
Just expand a little bit more on this.
Please.
It is going to be, that position is going to be a two-position job, the economic and a part-time building clerk.
Oh, that was a 2-in-1?
That's what I thought, because the way it was written, it was.
Correct.
Oh,
One
okay.
part-time person to.
I thought it was 1-in-1, so, all right.
Yep. Just a little background, when I started in 2017, we had two full-time building clerks. One left on maternity leave, never returned. We never replaced her. I have a code enforcement sitting up there right now to help out. So it's a 2-for-1.
Do you
Oh,
think that there?
I'd rather have a full-time person up there,
Right,
honestly,
we thought it was a part-time building clerk.
and a part-time.
Oh, I knew it was both,
part-time.
but I don't think that we should hire a part-time person for 1/4 FTE.
I believe when we were actually working on the budget, and Jennifer, if you can correct me if I'm wrong here,
I was like, I just.
it was two separate part-time positions because we did not budget for any benefits for either one of those roles. Yeah, it was two separate part-time positions. It was not one full-time blended position that we budgeted for.
But there was one part-time that would do both things, right? Or is it a part-time building and a
Separate
part-time?
Part-time,
Is what's in the budget?
yes.
Okay.
So with that, so then our conversation is appropriate to eliminate the economic development part-time, but keep.
Keep
the
yours.
building.
Keep your person
Correct.
there part-time.
Which I'm still.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, the only thing I was questioning is, like I said, I'm for economic development. I am. And yes, Mr. Lasser is completely right. We've talked about it like a gazillion years, just like doing the industrial park cement. So,
Which we did.
yeah, exactly.
So-
Small.
I have a question for Mr. Logan. So did you understand it to be a part-time position, doing both of those, wearing both of those hats?
Correct.
Okay.
That's
So-
my fault,
A part-time or a full-time?
part-time.
Okay.
So you only need a.
He thought it was one full-time person doing two
quarter
jobs,
person?
and we have two part-time people.
No,
That's my fault.
wait, did you think it was a full-time position or a part-time position?
Part-time position.
Okay.
Doing both things.
Correct.
Oh, so
Okay.
yes,
So
it's not
it is a
two
quarter.
That's my fault.
But that's not what she budgeted.
No, that's not what she budgeted.
Okay.
There was a
That's what I'm saying.
miscommunication.
I apologize
between
for
them.
that.
All right, so-
What would the part-time building person do with their other quarter time?
Correct.
Say that again?
Okay, so if we have, the budget was for a part-time person, so let's say 50% of a person, to do building clerk and business development stuff.
Correct.
So now if we take the business development out of it, you go from a half person to a quarter of a person doing the building clerk. So if we only need a quarter of a person doing the building clerk, what are they going to do for that other quarter of the time? Because we're hiring a 50% person,
Correct.
not a 25% person.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of
open
work.
permits
Okay.
that we still need to close out. There's still a lot of research. We're doing a program, Elaine wanted us to do for citizens just come in for help, either cutting grass or cleaning their house as of like a,
So like a senior chore program.
yes.
Okay.
So just to get more into closing a lot of these permits out, there's a lot of those, helping out the counter, answering phones,
Okay.
web requests.
So it sounds like we have the amount of work, so they wouldn't be sitting around twiddling their thumbs or bugging
God, no.
everybody else from getting their work done for that 25% of the time. But I think if we included in the budget that before it would be approved, when it comes back, we would want like a clearly defined position profile of exactly what this individual will be doing.
Correct.
And then we put our code enforcement back on the street instead of at the window.
Yep.
Okay.
Which would be good.
So we would take off the economic development position, it's a separate line item or a separate budget amount, and then you'd get your, and if there's time to do that, we can maybe walk, take some steps towards that, but that's fine with me. That sounds like a good plan. Any
That
comments?
reduces it by half.
Yeah, it'll change the number. Jennifer, do you have the total values for what those positions would be?
Thanks for adding that, Bob. Thanks for.
You had 107,000.
Bear with me just a moment. The part-time clerk is 17,674. That's because that is a union position and that wage is based on the current union contract. The economic development position is a total cost of $28,106.
And was that a union position too?
No.
Okay. And then how many hours was that 17,000?
That is for 1,040 hours.
Okay, so 20 hours a week? Okay. All right, so we're knocking down 28,106 for the economic development position, is that correct?
Yep.
Crew leader and fire marshal.
Yeah, wait, what did you say?
So we still have to talk about crew leader and fire marshal.
So, you want to go first?
You can.
Okay, so when it comes to the fire marshal position, I mean, at this time, I heard everything, and I would, in my heart, I would absolutely love for that to happen, but from a budget perspective, I just don't think that we're there right now, and I think that that goes in tandem with the promotion of the captains, where I think that we should, even though we're continuing with the testing portion of that we should put a stay on that and not fill that role until, because that contract is up this year, until we're further along in that process. And if anyone can think of a better way to say that, please feel free to jump in, because I want to make sure that I.
So are you just saying,
articulate that.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
are you just saying to put a stay on it? Is
Yeah.
that what you're?
Leave it in the budget, but
I'm saying take the fire marshal position out of the budget.
yeah, see, I don't agree with you.
Well, hold on, let her finish.
I know, go ahead, but
And
Keep the captains in so the money's there and figure out how to reallocate it potentially.
But then I would say,
Fire
if you
marshal
want to put a
and
pin in it, based on the negotiations that are coming up, put a pin in it, leave it in the budget, because I would rather have a fire marshal than another captain, because Gillis, he's spending all his time doing the fire marshal stuff instead of being a captain. So if we end up, I'm just saying, if we end up with one captain, and he's spending all of his time in the fire marshal area, and we didn't allocate for a fire marshal, and we need him, I'm sorry, I don't agree.
I think that there are other things that we can do in the contract negotiations to address that.
I would still prefer it to be here, and because I don't want to have a budget allocation, because I feel like I understand what the direction you guys are thinking, but I want it to stay in the budget for now, me personally.
But the money's there if you don't take it all out. You only have to take one out, right?
There's only one fire chief.
But she's also talking about the
I'm
captain.
also talking about the captains.
Can we talk about one at a time? I agree with you
They
that
go
we.
hand in hand.
Yeah.
No, well,
'Cause I'm kind of a hybrid between the two.
That's what I'm saying. We don't say, yep, we're moving forward with this immediately. What we just say is, we'll leave it there. If it doesn't get spent, it doesn't get spent. But then we don't have to move anything to have it allocated if we decide to move forward with that, depending on what happens with the whole captain's thing. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, don't take it out of the budget.
So fair, so I think we probably do have to address.
It's like a hybrid.
Captain's thing, because there was a motion to approve, and so there would have to be a motion to stay it.
And I think that that would probably be appropriate at this time to have because all of these factors are kind of in play right now, is not moving forward with the promotion of captains after the testing and putting a stay into it until we are able to have further conversations about this.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying right now, I just don't want to take this out of the budget, because somebody's got to fill that position.
So I'm just thinking of how it's going to be filled because, yeah. So I don't have a problem with the stay on the captain's thing. But I want to leave this in the budget for right now because again,
Get
if
to
we
that
don't
second.
spend it,
Right, we'll get that second.
Okay, so then I've got a motion rolling around in my head. We have other voices that we need to hear from on.
yeah, but I don't think you can make a motion in this meeting, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I asked in the
Yes.
last meeting.
Okay, I
if
just
I'd
wanted
be
to make
able
sure.
In advance of this very scenario.
Okay,
And Don's shaking his head, yes.
okay.
So are we talking about the fire marshals or the captains?
A little bit of both.
No, I want to
But
talk about one at a
so-
time.
Okay, so we're talking about leaving the fire marshal line item in there,
Okay?
but then, so that can be independent, but then also putting a stay on the promotion of the captains until we are able to have further discussions about that, as well as the contract negotiations coming up and how that could impact the fire marshal situation.
Okay, we already had a vote, and so this would be a motion to basically overturn that previous vote? Is that what you're?
Overturn it. Yeah, I don't know if it would be to overturn it or if it would just be to like put a pin in it. I'm thinking put a pin in it. And then potentially later, depending on what the conversations are, then there could potentially be a motion to overturn it.
To overturn the overturn.
Wait, wouldn't it be overturning
overturn
it?
the
To put a
original.
pin in it would just be to leave it in the budget then.
Well, we wouldn't proceed with actually, because right now, the current
They
guidance.
don't need to come back to us.
They don't need to come back to us. They can just promote the captains after whomever finishes the testing and whatever happens. So to not move forward with promoting the captain, well, it's one, right? So a motion to hold off on actually hiring anyone for that role until we are able to have further discussions about the budget impacts of a fire marshal and the captains.
Is that your motion?
I would have to do better than that.
Okay?
You have to do better than that.
I have to do better than that.
I was just going to caveat, especially given the unknowns with where we're going to be with the 12s and the expenses. We finally have data here. That's why I objected to it in the first place. It wasn't that I was opposed to it. It was I didn't know what it was going to cost. And I want to now look and I want to see if there's more than one way to slice
Right.
the bread. Because,
And I don't have a problem with that.
Because do we have
Just
the
don't want
fire
to
marshal?
pull it out and then go, oh crap.
I hear you, but I don't think she was advocating to pull both out.
No,
So there's still.
I'm not at all.
Okay.
So go ahead then if you want
Yeah.
to make a motion. And we'll see if
Well,
there's support.
I mean,
I'm
Okay,
going to support
all
it,
right.
but you don't like what you said, I guess. I liked it.
well, so I would just say, well, because what I don't want to be included in the motion is anything about the fire marshals.
Correct.
So the fire marshals, my thought is to leave it in there. My motion would be to place a stay on the promotion of captains until we are able to have, I don't know.
Just till a later point.
Just until a later, well,
I'm
actually.
sorry, am I just tired? Promotion of captains to what? Captains can't go any higher.
No, to promote someone to a captain.
Sergeants to captains.
Based on
trying
business.
to-
In other words,
In the event of a vacancy, you're saying?
yes.
Well, there's a
Well, there's
vacancy
already
coming.
there was a motion that passed that allowed the testing and promotion without having to come back.
Yes,
Once there is a vacancy.
If there is a vacancy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
which there is a
Possible.
possible pending.
And I believe we have a union contract that requires us to fill that
Nope.
spot.
Nope.
Doesn't it?
Nope.
Thought that was what they
Nope.
negotiated,
Okay.
that if
Do
it
we
ever
have a
becomes
motion?
vacant, then the ability to seek an outside chief is gone. I thought that was the
No.
That may
contingency.
be, but that's after she leaves.
Okay. I'm trying to think out loud, because I don't know, I don't think I have it on my,
We want to
I don't think I have it on my
analyze,
iPad.
right?
That's
Sure.
the whole purpose of this.
Sure,
We want to
understood.
analyze all of those things before we just say, yep, go ahead, especially with those contract negotiations. That contract is up June 30th, I think, of this year.
I believe you're right. But at the moment, we don't have a vacancy, and I don't know if we're expecting one, so I don't know.
It's eligible.
Yeah.
Eligible is different, yes.
No, I know.
True.
But if he's
What I'm
eligible,
trying
you
to
have
happen
to
next
prep.
week.
What I'm
You have to
trying-
have a succession plan.
So in my motion, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that we cannot proceed with the promotion of captain until council has additional time to research the impacts and/or the potential upcoming contract negotiations.
So in short, you just like the director to bring it to you when the vacancy is impending or happening. Okay.
It's a lot less words.
And that's why they pay him the big bucks.
Yeah, right. Stop saying that. You're gonna make people believe that. So basically, your motion is to direct Public Safety Director to pause any moving forward with promotional process for the position of captain until that is brought before you for consideration.
Yes. Yep, that's my motion. What he said, August.
I'll second that.
What he said.
Okay, motion by, who seconded?
I will.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, seconded by Councilmember Baranski. Now, any discussion by the council? This is essentially overturning what we already decided.
I do have a question. So let's say this happens, our captain leaves next week. We have to replace them because of the contract, correct, until June 30th? We're going to overturn that part too. Is that what this motion is? That's what I'm,
No.
the contract is till June 30th, correct?
We need to have information that was not discussed when the last motion was made on the consequences of the promotion.
Okay.
And by recollection, it was that, and a lot of this isn't even necessary, like, you need to read what the consequences are and are not. Financial, staffing issues, contract issues. The fact that you don't know that and you voted for something is the problem that I have with the motion in the first place.
But what I'm asking is, with the contract that's set in place now, as of today, that expires on June 30th, if it becomes vacant before that, because in that contract, correct, you guys had it, like Don said, with the contract saying that we have to have a captain to go outside of.
All this motion is doing is giving us more time. So in the event that that happens,
Okay, go ahead with
we
the motion, that's fine.
can.
She can bring it up.
She could bring it up and we can talk about it at that time. It's buying us some time. So motion and a second. Roll call?
Hold on. I'm thinking.
Oh, I didn't know you were thinking. I thought you were done.
No, I'm
You see
considering
the Charlie
your,
Brown bubble?
I'm considering your comments, and basically what you just told us is that 4 of us voted for that, and we didn't know what we were voting on, and that we were ignorant. And
No.
so, hold on.
No.
Hold on.
Point
That-
of order.
Yeah,
That's so.
I called myself ignorant, so I can continue to do
You said we
that.
called you ignorant.
exactly.
Okay, I apologize.
It's getting late.
Thank you.
Stop. You 3 just told us, you 3 voted against that motion, and now you want us to take another vote on basically the same thing. You're saying it's a pause, but what I'm telling you is, I voted for 2 captains because I've been on this my 8th year on council. I believe in 2 captains so that's my vote. So let's take anybody else want to weigh in? Or just take a vote? You called the question, roll call vote, please.
Baranski.
No, I'm up for changing my vote because of the other information that came before us. I'm fine with the pause. I don't want to lock it out, but I do feel, as Patrice has said, I'm concerned about the open fire marshal position. I think that needs to be taken care of.
We're going to leave it in so that we can.
I know, you wanted my thoughts. Those are my thoughts.
Roll call.
Collaborative.
Okay. Baranski.
Yes.
Mayor Lesich.
No.
Odell.
No.
Perry.
Yes.
Shornack.
Yes.
Stein.
No.
Sutherland.
Yes.
2, 3.
Motion passes
4 yeses.
4-3.
And I do want to clarify.
Oh, we're done. We're on to the next thing. We're on to
I'm
the fire
sorry.
marshals. No, we voted?
Are you prohibiting me from,
What are you clarifying?
that it was never my intention to imply that anyone was ignorant, if that is the implication or the inference that you had? My direct
The
statement
attention was very strong, though.
you did not
It was
have the
very
All right.
information.
I-
We'll let it
That's
go
why I
as a
said,
fact.
can we move on,
Doesn't make you
please?
ignorant to not have the information.
Ignorance is curable, stupidity is not. So I can be cured of that. What I hadn't heard until after that vote was taken, since you opened the door, I had not heard anything about that plan until after we took the vote, and there were many people on this council that voted no, that are continuing to be upset about it. So,
I agree with you 100%. You didn't know.
well, that was an opportunity that was missed.
It was.
You made a motion
We're
I
trying
didn't know
to
you were going to
And
make.
I actually, you're trying to what?
Correct it. Trying to
I didn't
educate.
make a mistake. I
think
wanted,
we didn't have all of the information.
it
anyway.
is apparent that you would like one captain.
No, that's not necessarily true.
You've actually said that to me in private, so let's move on to the
That is
fire
also
marshal
not
issue.
true.
Okay. I thought we already moved past the fire marshal.
I want to make sure that we got that. So
I'm fine leaving
we
it.
good with leaving the fire marshal position in? Are we planning on filling it, or are we planning on investigating it further?
I think
You'd have to come to us
Okay. All right, what's next?
for the budget.
So the only other position that we
The
have
foreman.
for discussion is the crew leader for DPW.
Crew leader foreman. I'm still for that. I am for that because I think that they are stretched as much as they can for manpower and for supervision purposes. I think that position was needed a while ago.
Can we hear from Rob? Does he have any thoughts on it, or? Not to put him on
He
the.
put it in the budget.
He wants him. But yes, yeah.
My understanding, this is a
Trying to
working,
diffuse
this is a
this.
working foreman, not just
Yes,
the
it is a
manager.
working
It's a
foreman,
working
100%.
foreman, so they're going to be doing the job
But also,
of who they're
so if Rob and,
I'm not trying to put him on the spot. I just wanted
what's,
to hear.
I always forget his name. What is your second in charge?
Joe.
Joe.
So if Rob and Joe are at two different things, or one of them's off, and they have three projects going on at the same time, and like that never happens in Fraser, they're going to have supervision.
Good evening again. I'm not on the spot. I'm here to serve you, so I appreciate the opportunity to come up. This position is going to be a unique position where it could be this proposed position where it would be a working foreman in the union where we can create a job description that they can do administrative tasks as needed, supervise the guys, or work. It would be an ultimate leader that could be a utility person. In my budget presentation, there's really not a true ratio to measure. Well, you have 10 full-time guys and 2 supervisors. Why do you need a third? Or it has to do with the overwhelming amount of administrative work that has fallen upon us in the recent years. And I referenced August's comment at the last council meeting. It's our sanity. I mean, I am committed. I love my job, but I am here 10, 12 hours a day, and a lot of this is overwhelming, and it's not sustainable.
And we have significant projects in the next, I mean,
And an $8 million project, or $16 million project, when you just want to talk about the industrial stuff, with consultants, it does bring, every project we do brings a responsibility to us.
I have no problem with this
yeah,
position.
I support it.
My only question is, if we are currently in negotiations with the DPW, and we have talked about clearly defined expectations for those roles, is there a way to solve for your issue while solving for the negotiations as well? So if you have things that you're looking for the current team to do, is there a way to allocate some of those duties or responsibilities and spread them out instead of adding a person? And the reason why I say that is just because adding a person, it's so much harder to take a person away. And I wasn't on council back when this happened, but I know that a lot of hard decisions had to be made because there was overhiring and overstaffing. So I'm just trying to see if, and again, we can put it in and maybe, see how it goes, but is there another way to kind of skin the cat?
So I'll attempt to answer your question is that I think our workforce is extremely thin. They have 10 full-time guys take care of everything they do. They're amazing crew.
They are.
And it's one of my blessings is Joe and these guys. They work really hard and do a lot of work. But any given Monday or Friday, if you lose two guys, you're down 20% of your workforce. And then whatever your plan is there is gone. And what I envision in this position is the ability to say, okay, well, we wanted you to go out and get 3 bids, contact for a leafer, but we're short a guy today, so you are going to go and run a leaf crew and work with them. Or we might have a complex project and they might need more, somebody that's just sitting back to watch because it gets so complex. Whatever you got going on is a difficult water main dig or something. It's just what you need. And I think I know that's part of our decision is this is going to be a working foreman where we can divide up the work and fill in some voids. And
Would this person be union, though, or would they be salary?
this would be a union position, and then talk about the union negotiation is we would have to meet with the union president and then you or Stewart after we come up with our job description and have a memorandum of understanding that this is what the job description is. This guy, even though he's one of your workers, he can go work on our MS4 permit or one of our Eagle requirements, or tomorrow he can go and help a crew, or he can help lead a crew. I think
He's
I'm
the catch-all.
over-describing a working foreman position.
He's the catch-all.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, too, that it's two things, that it's clearly defined, and I know sometimes that there can be, I don't want to say issues, but considerations when you have people who are in the union also supervising people who are in the union. That can,
Correct. So the line when you're in a union is, you can lead a crew. Where you get limited, where you're limited is a union person cannot discipline another union employee that would be delegated up.
okay.
Okay. Anybody against this position? Seeing none, it looks like that's in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
I think that really brings us down to the last significant thing to discuss, and that would be the millage rate.
Well, what about, you had an assistant clerk position? Did we?
Position.
You mean my deputy clerk?
Deputy clerk.
Oh, yeah, currently it's budgeted as a part-time position, not a full-time.
All right. So that one, any issues with that? I don't have any.
Well, my comments haven't changed from what they did last time. It's like we've reduced, August has increased efficiencies. We've reduced polling locations. I would say leave it in there, but tread lightly as far as position profile and duties, just to,
I agree. I don't know that it's needed
Well, this will be
in
a
that
good,
definition.
I was going to say, this will be a good test through this new,
Yeah.
for the election.
We have a light election year next year, so
Oh,
it's
that's
a
right.
good, it is a good test.
Yeah.
And we can figure out the capacity of the office that way. And I did get another commitment from Cindy to come and be the part-time elections employee for like that
See,
last
there
month.
we go,
Which
leveraging your
gives me much more confidence in the part-time position that I can make do without pulling my hair out.
Oh, you got a whole head of hair.
No, I don't.
So before we start talking about the millage rate, there was one other, it's kind of a small thing, but something that I had brought up last year that I actually wanted to add to the budget under, I don't know if it would be under city manager, but it'd be for professional development. Currently, the budget for professional development for the city manager role is $200 for the year. And in my opinion, especially when you're leading a city and such a large team, I think that, even though capacity and there are constraints, that additional training and development in your role for you as a leader leadership, project management, anything like that that's going to help you with your team. And then you can come back and have your department heads and you can tell them what you learned. And, it's just that trickle-down effect of more effectively leading, empathy training, all of these different things, right, that help to improve right environment, trust, all those things in an office. I would like to personally increase that budget to $1,000. And I think that that's actually still low.
I don't have a problem with that.
I'll see your 1,000 and go
The more you train, the
2,500.
better you are.
Okay.
What did he say?
He said, I'll see your 1,000 and go 2,500.
What?
I think it's money well spent.
I agree, 100%.
Your $200 in that budget was, you spent more than that to go to the MML CapCon for one day. And I think it's,
That's a different time.
that's
Okay.
That's
All right.
conferences. No, this would,
but
yeah, but
that's
this would
just
be
an example of a short-term thing, and it costs more than.
Yeah, this would be solely for professional development and training. I'm envisioning for leadership, project management, those types of things that are really going to help, maybe even with some of the, the capacity planning and things like that, that have, that you've given us feedback that you need help with. I think that having additional training on those items would be immensely valuable.
agree. I agree.
Okay, cool.
Is that 2,500?
2,500.
Thank you.
You.
So now PA 33. Now get the gloves off.
Oh,
I'm at 0.
I'm at 1.5.
what is it right now?
I'm at what we are
1.5.
currently at.
1.5.
1.5. I won't increase, but I'm not going to decrease at this time.
Fund balance is going down too fast, the costs are going up too much, and let's face it, this shortfall that we're dealing with right now is pretty much public safety. So times the increased wages, contracts, plus all the benefits that go with it and associated cost, it needs to stay minimum 1.5.
Mr. Perry?
I'm going to ask our administration, we have $2+ million of unallocated surplus funds right now, correct?
So with the budget that we have that we're working on here, that would be the calculation that we have, yes.
Okay.
But that was also taking out the $500,000 we were going to put in OPEB, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, if we put the $500,000 we originally thought we were going to put in OPEB, it would be 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Which I would really like to do.
Wait, what? Oh, left. If we added,
We took it out
after the
to
25%.
lower
is
the
is
cost.
that something we're
This-
considering?
Well, we were, but
Should.
Yeah, it's in the cover letter as one of the items that was deleted was
Oh, I
that
know you
extra
took it out, but I meant, like,
500,000.
before we pass the budget, is that a consideration that you're putting back on the table to justify the 1.5 million?
no, it's one point, I mean, taking the $500,000 out, our balance is still going down at an alarming rate.
But are you,
So-
I think the question is, are you putting the $500,000
No.
back into
Okay.
OPEB and then leaving the
So you're
1.5?
keeping 2 million in surplus.
And we need to maintain. We don't need to keep going down, because then what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to raise it up in a hurry. So I'd rather keep it steady, balance, slowly go down to where it's supposed to be. But we have a cushion of 25%, but I'd like to have a little bit more than 25%.
How about if I make a compromise?
Well, Yo recommends 25%.
Yeah, here's my compromise. I'll still keep it at 1.5. However, come halfway point in the year, if our budget is still over, our surplus is still over 2 million, at that point, we take another 500 and put it in MERS and OPEB.
We won't know till the end of the year.
Not necessarily. I'm saying, if we are where we are right now, if that doesn't deplete, because we do budget adjustments at least twice a year, correct? Thank you. At that point, we'll be doing budget adjustments. If we don't have any budget adjustments at that time, I'm just letting you know right now, I'm bringing it to the table to take another 500,000 of the quote-unquote surplus and put it towards our liability. I think it is important because that liability is predicated majority on our officers, which I understand. But because we have that large, and the PA 33 is to pay for our officers and what they do, I think it would behoove us to take that money and apply $500,000 in addition to our regular standard payments to try to whittle away at that debt. Because as Mr. Lessig has pointed out many, many times, that bill will come due.
I think that's an extremely fair compromise.
I actually like that, and I think you said $500,000, you meant $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a mill is an hour bill.
Yeah,
$500,000, sorry.
I just wanted to make sure, because we're talking mills here.
500,000, there we go.
How do you guarantee that happens?
Well, I can't guarantee it.
No, I'm just saying, like, word is worth nothing, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but right, like.
Right, well, because it's just me.
I'm just being.
It's me, myself, and I have one vote, yes. I
No, I
understand.
meant more like,
So
is
if-
that, yeah.
At the half-year point, can we just ask that that's put on the agenda?
Oh, I
And I'm
will
just
be.
saying that
So it has to be discussed.
Any one of
You
them.
can have half of a new council,
you're
too.
conditioning it, but it's really.
Well, I'm asking for a compromise for, like, the consensus now, because I realize this,
Don't have to go for it.
Okay.
I realize this group may turn over. Well, for sure, one spot will. But I'm just simply saying to the majority who are here currently, if it come December, we still have a surplus of over $2 million. At that point, after any allocations and any adjustments that we may have done, I encourage us to take $500,000 and apply it to our liabilities.
You have my commitment, and I would strongly look at that with you.
Support me in
Yeah.
that, if that, okay, thank you.
If the numbers work out, yeah.
Yeah, again,
And-
I
and
know.
I want to make sure that this draft 2 budget, the 500,000 was taken out not by us, by the administration.
Right.
Originally threw it, put it in there, and then they decided to take it out. It wasn't a decision of ours, and I think that's, you know, my feeling it's on legacy costs and wanting to move forward.
We are
and pay
the
some
same
of that
opinion.
down. So I would say you have my commitment to come back in December and seriously look at that, at when the budget adjustments are done.
So I'll make a motion that we keep PA 33 at 1.5 mils, 0.75 in the summer, 0.75 in the winter, as it was last year.
Second. Any other comments?
So I just want to, it seems like it's going to pass, which is fine. We are taxing our residents when we have, I can't do the math that easy, but we have 5 million in reserve and 2 million on top of the reserve. And the 5 million that's in reserve is the top end of what our accountants say we have to have. So to tax unnecessarily is what I view this as, for the potential that maybe someday we may whatever, when also in this budget, we built in the extremes on a lot of things, particularly the comp time. We built in a doomsday worst-case scenario, and I'm not objecting to that because I think that that gets us back rated to avoid that almost $1 million, whatever the number was, $750,000 overage that we had last meeting. But I just don't conceptually see why it is a good idea to tax our residents, especially now, because maybe someday we might need this money. If we need the money in the future, that's when we tax. We have the ability to do it later. We have the ability to do whatever, 19 mills. I'm sorry, whatever is it 7 and 7 mil, whatever the public safety thing is. That's the number of mills we can tax. I'd rather.
I think it's 9.
9 million.
Pretty sure it's 9.
I just wanted to go on the record so that,
Yeah.
so that I'm clear. I'm not anti-police because please, this is not about funding the police. It's not. It is about taking the general fund money that we would put towards the police and putting it towards other things. It is a stopgap measure that we have the benefit of taking advantage of because of the size of our city. So I don't want anyone to say that myself or Council Member Perry are anti-police. Not true, contrary, but I just don't see the need to tax when we are 50% over our recommended fund balance at the end of the year.
I think it just kind of goes back to what Councilmember Odell said, you know, and I mean, who knows? It all shakes out. We've got a lot of good moving pieces right now. So next year, maybe you reduce PA 33 to 0 or by a whole mill because you'll have a better idea.
He said that last year.
Oh, I thought we did a pretty good job negotiating that last year.
Well, I still.
At least we're maintaining.
Well, that's true. You're not going up. That's a valid point.
Okay.
Okay.
A year ago, we had a similar discussion. We had too much money, and arguments were made that we had all this fund balance. And it turns out that when we made those decisions, statements were made as, these are real numbers. And numbers were on spreadsheets, and it turns out we were $1 million off, nearly 700,000 in public safety. So when we look at that, and Pat and I were talking at the break, that the number was, if we had not taken that 500,000 in OPEB out of this budget, we'd be at about $1.5 million. At the end of the year, we're going to have some additions and changes, but the main thing is, hopefully this budget is good. I agree that the public safety numbers are high, But I don't agree that each year that we need more money, that we have to, that we do this roller coaster with PA 33. We were told several years ago that 5 mills continuing, we'd be fine. We went up to 9, and then we've slowly come back down. Just in the last 2 months, we've spent nearly $2.5 million of that $4.5 million of unassigned fund balance. Went quickly. Went so quickly, some people may not have even registered that amount of money. So I'm fine with the 1.5, so that's my position. Any other comments? All right.
Can I
Yes.
say something?
Yes, you may.
Okay. For the
Please.
general fund, we are looking 2 million. So when I did my fund balance in February, I indicate that, the SED, we will be paying for the bond principal and interest around, I don't have exact amount until the end of the month, the proceed will done, but approximately 750,000 or 800, principal plus interest. We will, or for SAD tax, we will be receiving around 300,000 each year if we go for 15 years. So the gap between 800 minus 300, 500 every year for last 15 years will come from the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not in this budget. This is in this budget only for 1 year. But we have to think for next 15 years when we are taking the general fund to the SAD, the fund number 213.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to indicate that one, when you are making the decision.
Taxes are going up.
Yes, yes.
So we got to cover our bills.
Yes.
We got to be smart with our money.
Especially with the Industrial Park Road, how the funding will work. Because we just transferred 3.5 million, the big fund, to the Industrial Park from the general fund. But every year we have to transfer at least 400,000.
Yes.
Okay. And one more thing, that fund number 301 or 305. So I have to do the budget amendment. It will be around 390,000, which will come to general fund as well. Just
That's the street.
Yes.
debt.
Yes. So just be aware that that will come here too. That's I know. I just want to indicate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Take a roll call vote, please.
And it's on 1.5, is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
On 1.5, yes. Baranski?
No.
Mayor Lesich?
Yes.
Odell?
Yes.
Perry?
No.
Shornack?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Okay, what's next? The budget?
So
Budget and,
did you want to take a deeper dive on any of the other millage rates as part of the budget resolution, or do you want to address that with the, just the resolution as a whole? So the resolution is for the budget and millage, and the millage rates that we have in here for operating are the 17.4213 for PA 33. Should be 1.5. Thank you. I'm looking at the rubbish, unfortunately. That's 1.4, ALS .9260. And then obviously the PA 33 is split between the July and December bills of .75. So looking at the amendments that we have discussed and changed tonight, the revenues would be changing from, we did not change any of the revenues, so that number would not change. And then the expenses. We will be going down to 48,411,562. And that would be utilizing 1.482 million of fund balance across all of the funds.
Councilmember Baranski.
I'm fine with doing it globally. I just have a question for you, Don. We had talked at some point, you might not have been able to do the research yet. it's a voted-in millage. Did we look if we could lower the levy on the ambulance fund? So the point being, we're taking in we have 900,000 in there right now. Next year, we're taking in 1.2, we're spending 1.5, but that's because we're getting a new rig. Is that something that we have the ability to even change, or did you not do it?
I'm going to be very honest, I don't remember being asked to look at that question. But because it was voted in, I'd have to look at the language of it.
Yeah, I guess for next year, because anywhere we can save, especially when we have, at that point, we're going to have 2 rigs that are going to be within 4 years old. Do we need to have $1 million we're going to have, a significant fund balance in there, which just doesn't make sense. So can you look at it?
Yeah, especially since we're limited on what we can do with that fund balance.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. And I do want to commend the director. She's done a great job of trying to put everything through there that she can. It's just a lot of money with very short strings. So if there's any chance of lowering it, any money saved is a good thing for our residents. But otherwise, I don't need to parse out each of the other.
Are we ready to move forward with the resolution 2025-11?
Do the fee schedule first?
Yes, I was going to ask, is the fee schedule part of the budget, right? Like the budget includes reliance on receipt of those fees.
I'll try. I'll make a motion to approve the City of Fraser Resolution 2025-001 as amended tonight with the city manager's notations. Is that sufficient?
011, Mr. Mayor.
I thought that's what I said. I read it right off of this piece of
I
paper.
heard
and read it.
001, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page. 011, minor technical.
011, thank you.
Hopefully I didn't make a typo.
Second.
Okay. Comments? Motion on the table?
Roll call?
None?
Wait, are we talking about the fee schedule here?
No, we're talking about passing the budget with
Okay.
the millage rates as of 20
Not finding that.
resolution. This is the piece of paper we're looking at passing here.
Budget,
Yeah,
the very, very bottom.
But the budget assumes that the fees are what the new schedule is?
Yes.
Well, isn't there a revenue stream from the fees?
Yeah, fee schedule or establishes revenue, but it's so unpredictable from year to year that I don't know that it's really, it's not even mandatory that you have that done right now. It's just on the.
Oh, I see.
Because it kind of goes hand in hand.
No, it totally goes hand in,
But if you wanted to make adjustments to it or something, it's completely flexible.
Here we go.
I just like having it all done up front before you.
I would be fine with doing the fee schedule at the next meeting.
Amen, brother.
That's just like the,
Sorry, but.
that's fine. That's fine.
We just
Well,
made our.
That's good. Could I just bring up a point? I don't have a problem with us doing it, but to your point, Ms. Baranski, what page is this on? 68 is where the public safety is for the ALS machine, emergency and all that. So if we're talking about that for a resident, right?
Right.
Since we're talking about the fund being large, this gives us more time to evaluate this, because this is where we'd want to make changes, I would think, to benefit our residents and maybe,
Got it.
lower. So anyway, okay, page 68, everybody heard that, right? So
Next
concentrate
time.
on that page.
So we have a motion on the table. Any comments? Roll call vote?
Baranski?
No.
Lesich?
Yes.
Odell?
Yes.
Perry?
no.
Shornack?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
Sutherland?
Yes.
Passes.
Motion passes 5-2. Shall we delay the fee schedule? If so, I would entertain a motion. There's no citizens here, right?
Come on up.
Just to clarify, the vote that you had earlier about the PA 33, was that for resolution 2025-012 then?
Yes. I mean, Mr. Odell. Oh, the motion was made by me and seconded by, who seconded? I thought it was you.
It was me.
All right.
I got it.
You got it. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Are we going to table, you're going to postpone the fee schedule
We're
to
going
the
to
next
postpone it
meeting?
to the next regular meeting.
Got it?
Motion to adjourn. Any other business?
Oh, Anjali,
Anjali, we're trying to go home here.
You better not ask for anything.
Sorry, I will not take long. For the next June meeting, I will bring the budget amendment. Just so you know, I just gonna give some highlights. There will be some motor pool allocation, but it's in and out, so no impact overall. So I will just looking at the self-insurance and motor, make sure that and year we don't have a deficit. There will be some DPW salary allocation. Here, net impact should be zero a little bit, but it's just moving because allocation was not correctly done, like little bit adjustment was done during the year. And there will be the street fund, like, I'm moving that street one to the general fund.
The streets fund to the general fund.
Yes, yeah. And there will be few more account, will be some are like expenses is over budget, so I want to make sure that I can, as much clean I can keep for the auditor. So they will be, but I don't see big impact. The other thing, it will be, because end of the June or before that, I will have better understanding how much SAD we are receiving, because we are still collecting, or some are paid off the full parcel because they have option.
Okay.
So, yes, and then some are paying only the installment. So I will not know who is paying until they pay. So I will see if I need to make the adjustment for that in the revenue line.
Okay.
And other thing, like city manager already told about that, any capital outlay for the 213 fund, which is like Industrial Park Road, I have to move, because we already spent some money this year, but we put the budget 8 million next year. So the budget amendment just like putting the money this year and reducing the that year.
I follow you. I have one request, a housekeeping item. This always takes too long for me. Can we get an adopted budget with the things we just agreed to tonight, and get an actual copy of the budget? Draft 3, I guess it would be.
Maybe draft 2.
All right,
It would be the final approved.
Not even draft.
Yes.
adopted. I would like a copy of the real adopted budget as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Relatively easy to do.
All right.
And thank you, everybody who works for the city, for all your hard work daily.
Yes, yes, yes.
And all
Thank
the
you.
preparing for all this. Thank you, because I know from all the department heads all the way down, I know it's a lot of work that you guys do for the city every day, for our PSOs, for everybody, so.
And we don't have to meet the week after Memorial Day to finish this up. So
Yes. Thank you to council, and I know I echo Angeli's sentiments about it's so comforting to be able to work together and get this completed. I know that she was kind of up against a stressful, hard line for the tax bills and everything, so thank you for everybody working together to get this accomplished tonight.
I think the greatest gift we can give these people tonight is make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Lessig, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland, to adjourn this meeting at 10:26 PM. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.